Meet Daichi Enamot, just your average college guy. His life seemed complete with a girlfriend and a solid group of friends. Everything was pretty normal until it wasn't. While trying to act like a gentleman, he ended up offending some psycho bastards, and guess what? In a horrifying instant, Daichi's world collapsed when he was framed for a murder he never committed. Tricked into coming to a hotel by Katagu, his best friend in college and also his part-time job partner. Daichi Enamot, he lost everything in the blink of an eye. His love, his family, his happy dream, and even his very future. What follows is a brutal and gripping story of revenge. Even while suffering in jail, Daichi never forgot the incidents that had happened to him. Fueled by the injustice that tore his life apart, he began preparing for the most thrilling, satisfying, and calculated revenge arc of all time. Witness Daichi's relentless pursuit of vengeance, and see just how far he's willing to go to reclaim everything that was stolen from him. The boy, desperate, runs through the street carrying a box, saying he has to get there quickly. We're in the city of Tokyo, inside a bar named Phone. In one of the back rooms, someone is yelling, asking a woman if she has any idea how much he spends in that place. It's a chubby guy with two women clinging to his arms, demanding that they bring proper sake. This man is Degura Mitsuru, president of the Nate Company. An employee standing before him apologizes, explaining that, unfortunately, the sake he requested is out of stock. Clearly, this Degura isn't right in the head. With a vein popping from his forehead, he orders her to strip and get on her knees to beg forgiveness. The deep web girls laugh, saying she'll have to obey, while the woman trembles, terrified, tears brimming in her eyes. Everyone in the room is shouting at her to take it off when, suddenly, someone enters. It's the protagonist, carrying a bottle of wine called Armando Gold, the one Degura wanted. For a moment, the room falls silent. Degura snorts through his mouth, looking annoyed that the boy actually managed to bring it on time. As our boy steps forward, Degura warns him not to have shaken the bottle while running. The poor guy bows, saying not to worry, that if Degura has any request, just let him know. But before leaving, he makes a request of his own, that Degura stop harassing the women who work there. In response, Degura simply pours the drink over his head. The boy stays still, silent, saying nothing. Degura then calls for someone named Gu to be brought in. So, our boy leaves just as Gu enters with a smirk, mocking that these people really don't know how to work or read the mood. Outside, Sika calls for Daichi Enamot, our boy, and he thanks her. He reassures her it's fine and that he knows it must have been harder for her. Tsubushi responds that she can endure it only because he's there. Degura, meanwhile, runs a foreign company that bought up much of the Tokyo Lake area. Everywhere you look, one of his companies dominates, and to make matters worse, the city is being taken over by gangs. But this isn't Tokyo Revengers, bro. These gangs are made up of yakuza, capitalists, and politicians. Money and power control everything, while our boy, Daichi Enamot, college student trying to enjoy life. Right after class, he says he has to finish his notes today. But his friend Kadu, the same one who works with him, insists they can just toss it into chat. Heat it and done, man. Look at this tech-savvy guy, even ChatGPT made it into the story. We're doomed. Just then, another friend shows up, Sitomeru. She argues they can't do that or they'll be caught instantly. Slamming the table, she says they have to study properly, and they all reluctantly agree. Later, as they leave, Ku says they'll meet up tonight. He waves goodbye to Meru and leaves. Embarrassed, our boy stands next to Sito and says it's time for them to go too. Now that I think about it, this might be one of the first Japanese stories actually set in college, man. For some reason, the Japanese love school settings, right? Which is a problem because then the FBI comes knocking. As the protagonist and Sito hold hands, someone gives them a dirty look. You can already tell that guy's no good. Still, Dai and Sito walk sweetly through the city. He asks her if this is kind of like a date. A bit confused, she asks why he's acting that way. He says he knows she's never spent the night at anyone's house and that she's reserved. Apparently, they've got some advanced plan going on. But what's strange is that Daichi has a piercing behind his ear. She tells him to stop scratching it, suddenly pulls in close and calls him a perv. Out of nowhere, the boy blushes deep red, and she runs off, saying that during their upcoming summer trip, they'll do that thing. She even winks, warning him not to forget. Poor fool. Mess it up and you lose, man. Then he's left wondering, did she mean it or not? He just stands there with a dumb look on his face. Damn, I roasted the kid. But the truth is, he spends his whole day with his bedridden mom at the hospital. The boy really is like a Marvel hero. Sorry, Daichi. I didn't mean to roast you. He tells his mom everything that happened during the day, but she doesn't respond. Time passes and he says he's going to leave and return later. Just as he's leaving, though, he hears a sound and goes back. His mother calls his name. He explains he came right after school, but he has to go to work soon. Holding his hand, his mother says she feels terrible for giving him so much trouble. He tells her not to worry, he has a scholarship, and everything is fine. As soon as she's out of the hospital, they'll go to the beach, and it'll be perfect. She closes her eyes, saying that it would be nice. Later, back at work, he thanks customers. He goes to talk to one of them and asks if Sayaka still isn't answering. She's that coworker. The mustached man says no. It seems she's not even reading the messages. Daichi thinks that's odd, wonders if something happened, and asks about Gu. The mustached guy replies that Gu's in Dagura's office with him. As long as Gu doesn't make Dagura angry, everything's fine. Just then, Go appears, calling for Daichi, saying he arrived at the perfect time. Dagura wants to talk to him, which leaves them both confused. The protagonist enters the room, introduces himself as Dachi Enomoto, and asks if he was called. Dagura says he wants to introduce him to someone incredible. A man in a suit approaches, greets him politely, and hands him a business card with the name Shiro Hakasaki. Dai notices it's from a law firm. From his chair, Dagura says this man is one of the best lawyers he knows. Someone most people never even get the chance to meet. Shiro sits and says there's no need for such praise, but tells Dai that if he ever needs help, he should reach out. With that, Dagura dismisses him. Not knowing what else to say, Daichi thanks them and leaves. Just as he closes the door, he hears someone remark that the boy seems promising. He walks away, awkward and confused, not understanding anything that just happened. On the way home, he and Go walk together, both tired. Daichi asks his friend how he managed to sort out yesterday's mess with Dagura. Go says the manager called him for some drinks, and everything was settled. Right then, Daichi's phone buzzes with messages from Sika. She says she wants to talk to him about water and asks if he can meet her at the Grand West Hotel. She says it's something she's wanted for a long time. Both Daichi and Go are left puzzled, not knowing what's going on. Gu quickly says it's probably a confession, while our boy tells him not to be stupid, that she wouldn't say something like that out of nowhere. But Gu insists they should go together just to confirm. A little later, they arrive at an extremely luxurious hotel. Davy had never even stepped into a place so fancy. Then Sayaka sends a message telling him to come to room 1815, alone, in 10 minutes. The protagonist feels confused, but Gu says her flirting is getting serious. She looked like she really wanted the guy, so it's better if he goes. Daichi doesn't quite know how to respond, but admits that, at the very least, he has to go. And he's right. As Daichi turns around laughing, Gu grabs his arm and tells him to wait. He hands over an energy drink, saying, "This one's the good kind." He knows his friend hasn't been sleeping well, so he'll run out of energy soon. What are the odds there's nothing in that drink, right, bro? Absolutely zero. But honestly, up to now, Daichi hasn't shown any cruelty, so it almost seems like Gu is just being a friend. Gu even says it's better if he drinks it now, otherwise the effect won't kick in at the right time. Daichi says that makes sense and takes the first sip, but of course, Gu is giving that evil look. Daxter hands the can back, saying Gu can drink the rest, and Gu thanks him. As Daichi leaves, Gu tells him not to worry, that he won't say anything to Seto Maru. But Daichi just walks away, saying it's not like that. He doesn't have any relationship with that crazy girl. Going up in the elevator, he's still confused, not understanding what Gu was even talking about. But he remembers it did seem like something serious. What he doesn't understand is why Sayaka called him to such a luxurious place. Maybe it could be a confession, but he's dating Satomeru, so it doesn't make sense. Right then, something starts changing inside him. He feels dizzy. When the elevator doors open on the 18th floor, the hallway appears twisted, 3D, curved. He keeps staring at the doors, trying to find room 1815, when suddenly he faints. At that moment, the door opens, and someone from inside looks down at him. Sometime later, Daichi wakes up in the room. His arms are scratched all over, and his head hurts. And right next to him lies Sayaka's lifeless body, eyes rolled back. Obviously, Daichi is shocked. He stumbles back, wondering why she's there. The entire room is a mess. But of course, he remembers nothing. He asks himself if he did something or how he even ended up there. Why was Sayaka dead? Why was he without clothes? What happened? Suddenly, pain hits him. He looks at his hand and sees it covered with cuts. Then a knock at the door. It's the police. Poor guy still doesn't understand what's happening and even feels relieved someone's there to help. But the moment he opens the door, the main suspect is thrown to the ground. He goes face first into the floor, pinned down, while police immediately start searching the room. Investigators wonder if they arrived too late. While Daichi wants to know what's happening, one officer tells him to stop pretending. Our boy insists he wasn't involved, that he doesn't even know what happened, but the officer just tells him to shut up. Next scene, heavy rain. At the prison, Daichi is arriving. And that's how, obviously, they framed our boy. There he is, being hauled off to prison. And look, the bastard Kotaku is there smiling. Daichi gets the chance to call a lawyer. And who does he call? The only one he knows, Josaki, the friend of President Degura from that company. Daichi thanks him for coming, and Josaki says he knows Daichi must be worried, but to relax, he'll help. Our boy gets emotional, saying he's counting on him. Then Josaki starts reading some files. Daichi Enomoto, 20 years old. That day, he was invited by Tanaka Sayaka to meet her at the Grand West Hotel. After consuming alcohol and other substances, they spent a close night together, and after an argument, he ended up killing her. Obviously, Daichi slams the table, insisting that's far from the truth. Josaki tells him to calm down, explaining that this is only what the police think happened. Daichi tries to explain that he didn't do it and never would. He asks to talk with his friends who know about the situation. Josaki says they already spoke with Kadodigu, not just him, but also Kanto and his girlfriend, Meu. At that, Dai remembers Sito Meru and knows she must be worried. Not to mention he has a mother in the hospital. If she finds out he's involved in this kind of incident, it'll destroy her. Then Josaki asks if Daichi was drinking that night, because alcohol was found in his system. Daichi says he doesn't remember, he was fine until he got to that place. Then Josaki explains that people at work say Dai doesn't handle alcohol well, so that must be it. On top of that, traces of drugs were found in his urine. Once more, Daichi slams the table and stands up, saying he's never touched that stuff. Josaki tries calming him down again. Fabric with his DNA was found under Sayaka's fingernails, meaning she scratched him before dying. Josaki suggests that maybe, in a fit of rage, he strangled her, and she tried breaking free by scratching him. Daichi falls back, saying that's impossible. Josaki insists it's fine for him to deny it, that's his right. But he needs to understand. If he fights to prove his innocence, he'll risk a much longer sentence. Daichi lowers his head, saying he can't go through this. His mother is sick in the hospital. He works to pay for her care, and if he's not by her side, she'll be left alone. The poor kid starts crying, asking what he's supposed to do. Man, at this point, there's no revenge I'd call undeserved. Cut off 2 arms and 2 legs, leave just the stumps burning in the sun for 15 years, fed through a tube, suffering forever, and I'd still say they deserved it. Finally, Josaki says there's a way for Daichi to be released much faster. Daichi asks what way. The answer, of course, admit that he was the one who did it. Daichi stays silent. Habasaki apologizes, saying even if he were the best lawyer in the world, there's no way to fight against this much evidence. And if Daichi tries to prove his innocence, the chance of success is extremely low. It's much better to confess, show regret, and receive a reduced sentence, maybe even parole if things go well. Daichi, however, ends up falling into a spiral of despair, saying he couldn't go through with this. For him to be paroled, his mother would have to spend a long time alone, which was impossible. Next scene, we arrive at the day of the trial. And man, Daichi confesses. He admits that after being invited by Tanaka to the hotel, he drank way too much, and his memories are all messed up. But still, he believes he caused her death and regrets it deeply. Obviously, right? He confessed everything with the intention of getting parole, even though deep inside he was absolutely sure he hadn't done it. All he wanted, at the very least, was parole so he could visit his mother in the hospital before something worse happened. But the judge simply sentenced him to 15 years in prison. At that moment, Daichi's expression dropped. He turns to Habasaki, asking why he didn't get parole. The guy only adjusts his glasses and says it's a shame, but looks like the judge this time was worse than he expected. Daichi yells at Habasaki, saying that wasn't their deal. But the judge just tells him to be quiet. Daichi couldn't believe parole was completely denied. How was he supposed to spend 15 years in prison? While he screams that he didn't do it, he's dragged away by security. Obviously, he requested a retrial, man. But nothing was accepted. And with that, he was sentenced to 15 years, man. Sometime later, in prison somewhere in a certain prefecture, the guys comment that the new kid who arrived is super weird, constantly talking to himself. Obviously, they're talking about Daichi, and everyone says he's a strange murderer. Anyway, our boy is there, pacing back and forth like a lunatic, insisting he didn't do it. The criminals just laugh, saying that's what everyone in there says. Sometime later, there he is, folding clothes while working in the prison, wondering why he's in a place like that. He's angry because the reason he couldn't get another trial was that Habasaki didn't even bother to talk to him. Now he also wants to know how Meru, his girlfriend, is doing and how his mother is. Suddenly, an old man beside him calls out, asking if by chance he was framed. He was curious about the boy and took a look at his file. It seems that one night he was invited to a strange place, fell asleep, and suddenly woke up next to a naked dead woman. Daichi asks how the old man knows this, and he replies that's not the point. He just wants to know more details about the story. Depending on the situation, maybe they could get out of that prison. Obviously, Daichi's expression changed immediately. He had no idea who this guy was or how he knew his case. But the man introduces himself as Kamishiro, another prisoner. Obviously, someone who was also serving time due to a false accusation. He says it's a pleasure to meet someone like him. But Daichi turns his face away and ignores him, thinking this was way too suspicious. He warns the man not to keep talking to him, otherwise the guards would start bothering him. Kamishiro replies that they'll surely have plenty of time to talk, so whenever he feels comfortable, just come look for him. One more thing, he says, Daichi better be much more careful with the man who handled his case, that Habasaki. From Daichi's expression, Kamishiro already understands. Yeah, looks like that bastard framed someone again. Sometime later, where the inmates sleep. And man, those little thugs sleep well, huh? Look at that cushioned floor. There's even a small computer screen in there. What is this, man? Let's go to Asia, commit a crime, and go to jail. That place is too good over there. Just kidding. Guys, don't even think about that for a second, for the love of God. Now Daichi is wondering why that man brought up Josaki. He should have figured it out already, man. Clearly, that guy set him up. But looking out the window, all he can think about is his mom and Meru. He wonders what they're doing, how they're doing, and if they're worried about him. Next scene, man, there's blood flying everywhere. Some dudes are pounding on another, asking where all that courage from a while ago went. And man, not just one, there's a bunch of them. That idea about going to an Asian prison? Cancel it right now. Everybody sell the tickets you bought, we're not going anymore. The poor guys are getting their faces smashed against the walls, while the others are lying nearly dead on the ground. Then a guy comes up and tells Ruiji they've got some info about the new guy. The dude suddenly clenches his fist and punches a piece of furniture, breaking it. They say they'll talk to that kid tomorrow in the garden. He'll meet him face to face. The next day, under the blazing sun, there's our boy doing pull-ups. He falls to the ground all crooked. 3 was his limit until a guy showed up from behind, calling out to him for help moving some equipment. Daichi just agrees and goes. Man, but from the side, Kamishiro is watching everything. Obviously, he was being led to come face to face with Ruiji. Actually, I had gotten it. Right then, Daichi gets startled, turning around, wanting to know what's going on. But at that very moment, the guy walks up, grabs him by the neck, and asks if he also enjoys killing people like that. Daichi tries to explain that he didn't do it, that it was a false accusation. But the guy says, everyone always says the same thing. Bam! A cannon punch to the stomach. Our boy drops to his knees in pain. Then bam! Cristiano Ronaldo style cross right to the head. Ruiji says he's a bad guy too, and to be honest, he even likes what Daichi did. And that's exactly why he's itching to kill him now. Man, another cannon right to the face. What the hell? His buddies just comment that Ruiji is terrifying when he's angry. At this rate, the kid who just got here was going to die. Sometime later, our boy is all beaten up, and Ruiji says he at least feels sorry for the kid's parents. Daichi, nearly losing consciousness, couldn't even understand what they were talking about. One of them steps closer and says that outside, the media is causing an uproar. Apparently, there are reports that the killer's mother died of shock upon learning about the case her son was involved in. Damn man, our boy's mother died, dude. And now he's wondering what he did to deserve this. He starts asking again why Sayaka called him that day or why Josaki told him to confess, and that he'd get parole. All he did was confess so he could return and be near his mom. But this was a crime he hadn't committed. Suddenly, he lets out a strange sound while rising up, leaving everyone confused. At that moment, Daichi didn't care about anything anymore. Everything had become meaningless. His heart was being painted by a single dark feeling. The guys were all scared he might actually have the guts to do something. And Ruiji just keeps staring. The kid is laughing and crying with a storm of emotions all mixed together. He stretches his fist forward and lands it straight on the man's face. From that moment on, he allowed himself to be swallowed by rage. While striking Ruiji, he saw an illusion of his mother. She called his name and told him to live a good life. Then, as she walked away, he asked why they hadn't gone to see the castle. He insists, calling after her, but she keeps walking. Next scene, she wakes up all bandaged in the hospital, calling out his name. Obviously, all of that had been just a dream. The doctor appears, saying she has finally regained consciousness. There was our boy in the infirmary, sitting beside Kamishiro, who was calmly reading a book. He laughs, saying Daichi went crazy and even punched the guards in the face. Daichi, a bit confused, asks what happened to Ruiji, the one who had beaten him earlier. Kamishiro tells him not to worry, since he's in solitary confinement after causing a major disturbance. The doctor nearby says Daichi was lucky he arrived just in time, because his injuries were pretty severe. Then Kamishiro makes it clear that he, too, ended up getting hurt, hinting that he's there to talk with our boy and that now they're friends. Not only friends, but they also share the same unjust sentence. Daichi remembers what that guy said earlier about Josaki and asks if he truly believes he's innocent. Kamishiro answers that he's met many people, and he doesn't see in Daichi someone who could kill like that. He warns him the trial he was dragged into is clearly a setup. Daichi, confused, asks why they would do something like that to him. But at that moment, someone opens the door, saying they need to speak with Kamishiro Jinda. The old man stands, saying they'll continue later. Before leaving, he tells our boy that sometimes, to get what you want, you must be prepared to give up something of equal value. Daichi wonders what he meant, asking what you can even gain if you lose everything. Kamishiro doesn't answer, simply stands up and says it's better to rest. Outside, The man who had called him says it's unusual to see him interested in another inmate. The old man shows his arm, covered in goosebumps, and says that from the boy's eyes, maybe he has potential. A few days later, a ball hits the wall, bounces into Kamashiro's hand, and someone approaches. It's Daichi, with a completely different expression on his face. The old man simply asks if he needs something. The protagonist asks about that business of getting out of there. Kamashiro replies it's obvious from the word itself. Exactly what he's thinking. Daichi wants to know whether they'll use a skilled lawyer or if he literally means escaping. Kamashiro says he won't give details until he's sure Daishir is serious. Daichi asks what he must do to prove it. The old man stands, removes his glasses and asks, "What are you going to do once you get out of here?" Daichi realizes the man's aura has changed and starts questioning himself. He was expelled from the university because of the incident. He hasn't heard from his ex-girlfriend or from Kadoku. If his mother truly died, there's nothing left waiting for him. Literally nothing. And all of it came from that incident. He says someone outside killed a girl he knew and pinned the crime on him. Because of that setup, his mother died. So the moment he gets out, he wants to find the real culprit and take revenge into his own hands. Chamero asks if he's willing to give up everything for that revenge, but Daichi questions what everything even means. In the end, he has nothing. The old man replies that means they're the same, also someone who had everything taken away. On the other hand, he still has some cryptocurrencies hidden somewhere. If the boy's resolve is real, he'll get him out and give him all of it. 50 billion in cryptocurrencies, stored outside in a secret location. Daichi hesitates and says he wouldn't believe that. But the old man interrupts, saying he knows no one would believe it. That's the normal reaction and it's fine. But when the boy changes his mind, he should come talk to him. He also mentions that the prison has a library. On the second shelf of the row nearest the window, there's an interesting book on the right with a completely black cover. He thinks it'll be a good read for the boy. With that, the old man leaves. Some inmates come up, asking if he knows Kamashiro Jindai. Our boy replies not really. One of them warns him to be careful, since that guy is a master at deceiving people. Apparently, he was caught in large-scale fraud, murder, and had ties with gangs and the Yakuza. Daichi tries to figure out who this man really is. Next scene, he arrives at the library. Nobody is really studying, the only one there is a little kid reading a book. He goes to the spot the man mentioned and finds the book with the black cover. Opening it, he discovers another booklet inside. On the cover, he sees the genius of corporations, the billionaire known for his unique method. Daichi is confused. Why was that there? From that day on, whenever he had free time, he'd return to read it. A week later, he's lying in his cell when he senses something and sits up. Man, it's that crazy Kamashiro already sitting right in front of him. Obviously, Daichi is confused, wondering how this guy got there without anyone noticing. Besides, nobody even woke up. Kamashiro explains he asked the guards to make the others sleep a little. Daichi freaks out, demanding to know who he really is. But Kamashiro only asks whether he read the book. Our boy replies that now he knows his real name. Kosu Jindai, the youngest person ever to run a publicly traded company. An executive considered a maniac, a man who killed a woman and then lost everything. Kamashiro admits he's heard that story. He stands and asks again about that revenge Daichi wants so badly. Is he or isn't he willing to give up everything? Now that our boy knows who he is, it seems almost unbelievable. The plan, whatever it is, might not even make sense. But somehow he sneaked into the cell and no one cared. One thing was certain. This man had power inside that place. Daichi, feeling hopeless, says it doesn't matter anymore. Everything equals nothing for him. And that's why, if he could get revenge on the one who put him there, he'd do anything. Immediately, the man agrees, saying, "All right then. The first mission is given. He has to get close to a certain person in that prison." In another cell, everyone is terrified. And man, why's there blood on the floor, plus a guy with his pants down? What a strange place. And right in the middle of it all, there's a maniac. Yeah, just from looking at him, you can already tell. Man, this one's the most dangerous. And it seems like Daichi is the one who's going to have to get close to him. My God, Daichi just dropped the revenge already. So here's what happens. Another guy faces this lunatic head-on, telling him not to underestimate, then moves in to land a punch. But the weirdo grabs his arm, flips him onto his back, slamming him to the floor, and the poor guy passes out. This deep web brawler named Kazuki even says inmates these days aren't really his type, though once again this was a great workout. Right at that moment, guess who's in front of him? Man. Cadet congratulated him, saying it was an incredible strike. He then takes him out of the cell, already smiling, calling him president, asking if he was watching, saying he feels kind of embarrassed. But that's when he notices our boy in the room and asks who he is. Our boy introduces himself and says, "Nice to meet you." But man, Kazuki stares at him, looking a bit hesitant. Then suddenly he blushes, introduces himself, and says it's a pleasure to meet him too. Looks like there was finally one more person in common in that place. Kamishiro says he's got something to ask, and Kazuki immediately agrees to answer anything he wants, until the old man mentions it's about IC. He wants to know the acquisition route for that stuff. That's the info he's after. Suddenly, though, Kazuki turns and says if that's the topic, he should ask someone else, but not before saying later he wants to talk with Daichi Enomoto. Man, I told you to run. Our boy wants to know who this lunatic even is. Kamishiro explains that the guy's a former detective. Our boy is shocked, and he adds that obviously he was extremely corrupt. Sure, he was talented, but he was the type to drink, fight, and brawl to get information. He never hesitated to associate with gang members or any kind of criminal group. And it looks like in one of those ventures he ended up losing, and that's how he landed here. Daichi then asks what this ICE thing even is that they were talking about. Kamishiro explains it's a drug mixing various amphetamines, morphine, and a bunch of other stuff. In the case that Daichi Enomoto was involved in, that same drug was found in the girl's body. He asks if that's supposed to be a secret since it hadn't even been revealed to him. And the guy says that, for now, yes man. Just remembering that poor Sayaka sent him a kiss, saying she'd reward him. Poor girl only showed up in the story just to die. So, Daichi tells Kamishiro to explain already, was the only mission really just getting close to this Kazuki guy? The guy says, yes, they need to gather info about this so-called ICE, understand the whole case, and somehow get Kazuki on their side. If everything goes right, he'll reveal the rest of the plan and the rest of Daichi's case. Now Dai's focused, right man? But he has no clue what's waiting for him. Look at that weirdo. I'm telling you it's Diddy. He's the Kasoka of the prison, guys. Better run, kids. There he was, calmly shaving, when Daichi came to sit beside him and right away said he had a favor to ask. Even said that if Kazuki listened, he'd get a reward. What? What are you doing, Daichi? You don't get it. Explain this to us. Even Kazuki, usually the crazy one, was all spooked, saying kids these days are really forward. But right as he was going to ask, a guard showed up and told them both to shut up. So, Enomoto said, all right, and told him they'd talk later. He got up, and strangely man, Kazuki saw something in him that scared him. He even said something like that should be illegal, man, unless something real was happening here. He's just staring at our boy, saying no one with such a cute face may be hiding a magnum. My God, what am I reading? Then he tells our boy to go ahead and ask the question already. Strangely, Daichi asks him to close his eyes. Kazuki, with his usual weird vibe, decides to close them, wondering what's about to happen. He's thinking maybe he'll get a kiss or something. The boy can't resist his perfect face. Maybe they should do that and end up in solitary together, it'd be romantic. He even says out loud that instead of a princess like our boy, he prefers a woman who's more like a queen. But suddenly, his fantasy breaks when Daichi tells him to open his eyes already. As soon as he does, he notices the place is completely empty. Right then, he's sure this is Kamishiro's work, paying off not just inmates, but guards too. That's something only a guy like him could pull off. Daichi simply says he wants the information Kazuki has, everything related to the ICE drug. He explains he's not asking out of curiosity, but because the incident he was involved in is tied to this stuff, and this drug may have killed someone. Now he's face to face, saying he needs help to find out who's selling it. But of course, Kazuki laughs and asks what happens if he refuses. But man, Daichi pulls out a razor, presses it to his neck, and says he could die from blood loss. Kazuki doesn't even care, just asks where this princess learned to say something like that. Our boy says he doesn't want things to end this way, but out of nowhere, the guy twists his arm in the opposite direction. Before he can react, Kazuki grabs him by the neck and slams him face first into the floor. Now I'm scared of what this lunatic will do. He tells Daichi not to joke like that with an adult who has a pure heart. But then Kazuki notices 2 moles behind Daichi's ear and says that's interesting. Before he can finish, though, Dai strikes the weak spot. The guy groans, turns, and tries to kick him in the face, but even then, Daichi manages to dodge. Shaky, the weirdo Kazuki, says this whole masochism thing isn't really his vibe. But man, Daichi isn't fooling around. Once again, he pulls out the razor, warning he'll do anything for revenge. The guy just laughs and says that by looking into his eyes, he can tell Daichi was a child who'd been very protected. And of course, that makes him even more insane, saying he likes girls like that even more. Outside, they're asking Kamishiro how long this will drag on. If they get caught doing this, they'll lose their jobs. Kamishiro says he promised the kid 5 minutes, and even if that guy were fired, he'd make enough money. Back in the bathroom, the two are preparing for the duel, and once again Daichi is there, insisting they just give him the info already. But of course, Kazuki tells him information isn't free, and he wants to know what he'll get in return. Daichi simply says his plan is to escape this prison and get revenge on the one who framed him. After that's done, Kazuki can do whatever he pleases with him. Kazuki then remarks that he heard the kid was sentenced to 15 years for murder, but apparently now the president is backing him up. To Kazuki, it's amusing, just like someone promising to pay their debts only after winning the lottery. In his eyes, the kid doesn't stand a chance. That's when Daichi slashes his own arm, declaring it a blood oath. At that moment, Kazuki notices a sadness hidden behind all that rage. He gets emotional again, kneels down and says if Daichi is truly that serious, fine. He'll swear to help him too. But suddenly, Kazuki licks the blood, saying he memorized his genes. Then he turns around, saying he's got scars of his own. He shows his back and explains that this one, he was certain he wouldn't survive. It happened at a nightclub while he was closing a deal, when suddenly one of the suppliers did that to him. That supplier dealt with the exact same ice Daichi is searching for. That club probably still exists somewhere, and someone there should know what needs to be investigated. Daichi grabs his hand and thanks him, saying he's helped a lot, while that nutcase gets emotional all over again. Suddenly, though, a guard appears, asking what the two are doing. Both are thrown to the ground as the guards begin searching the area. Kazuki looks at our boy and tells him they'll meet again. Sometime later, poor Daichi is thrown into solitary confinement, strapped in a straitjacket. What the hell, man? And his food is tossed through the door like garbage. Damn, that's just unnecessary, guys. But Daichi didn't care about any of it. 2 weeks of suffering was nothing compared to 15 years in that place. He needed strength and couldn't afford to get weak, which is why, man, he ate straight off the floor without hesitation. For the revenge he dreamed of, he would crawl across the floor of the entire world. 2 weeks later, the door slams open and someone orders him to stop acting like that. Daichi only says he thought solitary was over sooner, but Kashiro replies that while he has some influence, he's not the owner of this place. Half the guards, including the higher-ups, clearly aren't under his control. The best he could do was get the two of them placed in the same cell. Daichi then sits beside him, saying he thought a lot during solitary, about his case and about Kamishiro. And now he believes it's time to hear something about Kamishiro's case, and also how they're going to escape this prison. Otherwise, he's not sharing the ice info he got from Kazuki. The old man asks if he doesn't already have a good idea who framed him. Daichi replies he isn't completely sure, but Kato is on his mind, along with that guy from the bar and Dan Josaki. Kamishiro simply says his intuition is correct. The problem is, their enemy is powerful, and escaping alone wouldn't be enough for revenge. That's why he's determined to make sure the kid has the weapons to get what he wants. Daichi asks if he means those cryptocurrencies or something like that, to which Kamishiro says first he wants to know more about the night of the incident. With that, the two keep talking for quite a while. Kiro asks if, on that day after leaving the bar, he was called by the victim to the hotel. And when he arrived, a guy who worked with him, supposedly a friend, gave him a certain drink, after which he quickly lost consciousness. Daichi says the part about the drink being spiked is only a suspicion, but he remembers that Kadoti handed it to him and oddly asked for half of it back. Other than that, he can't think of any way something like that could have happened. Kamishiro asks if the result of all that was him waking up later in bed, right before the police showed up. Our boy says yes, and the old man replies that the coincidence is just too much. Daichi then explains that shortly before, he had met Josaki, which is why he called him. He was the only lawyer he knew. The old man says he understands. Josaki steered him down the path of confessing guilt. Now the question is, what exactly connects that so-called friend of his to the lawyer? Daichi knows perfectly well that it's that damn President Degura, the same guy who introduced Habasaki to him and acted horribly toward women. Right away, he says that bastard killed Sayaka and then used Kadoti to pin the blame on him. Obviously, he also must have paid off Jabaki to work as the lawyer. Kamishiro points out that even without any evidence, he's certain those three framed the boy. Bei, however, can only think about how he'll be forced to spend 15 years in that place for a crime he didn't commit, all because of those three. The kid begins scratching at his own neck, spiraling into madness, when the guy tells him to calm down a little, reminding him he must keep hope alive because sweet revenge is coming soon. Daichi demands that he hand over the 50 billion already, promising he'll personally make sure those guys end up in hell. But Kamishiro sighs and says he can't rush it. For the plan to succeed, it required serious preparation and the right opportunity. At the very least, it would take another year or two. And even if he had all the money, it would be useless if he didn't know how to use it. What the boy lacked right now was knowledge. He picks up the Count of Monte Cristo from the shelf and mentions a quote from it. Wait and hope until the perfect chance comes. He would pass all the necessary knowledge to Daichi. Already in the library, the first subject they were going to study, well, you'd think it would be about fighting, punches, kicks, and gunfire, right? No, kid. They're beginning with economics. Daichi follows all of Jindai's advice since the old man seems so well informed. And he tells him the first lesson is how to read a book. First, look over the whole content quickly. You don't even need to understand anything at first. Speed is the most important thing. That's how Daichi began devouring everything in that place. Day or night, since he's in jail, reading books is the only thing he can really do. The kid is being productive, man. Reading while also doing one-handed push-ups, flipping pages at the same time. But when he runs out of energy, obviously he crashes face first. Kamishiro asks what he's been up to, and our boy explains that he's memorizing company data just as he was told. The problem is, there are more than 4,000 of them, so it's taking a lot of time. The guy laughs, saying it's insane to try doing something like that while doing push-ups. Daichi replies that everything clicked for him when he lost to Ruji after being beaten, and also when he fought Hazuki. Without enough strength, he couldn't take on anyone. He's certain that knowledge alone won't be enough. He needs the right kind of strength to put all that knowledge to use. The old man says he's finally starting to grasp the essence of surviving in this world. Then he stands up and says, "All right, you've already understood economics. Now you'll learn the art of manipulation." Out in the prison yard, there's a guy with green hair, wrapping himself in a coat. His name is Tako. When Daichi comes over to talk to him, the guy gets startled and steps back. But our boy just asks if he can sit beside him. Smiling, he introduces himself as Enamot-Daichi and asks if he's the one called Tako. Awkwardly, the guy wants to know how they even know his name. Our boy explains it's only because he overheard a guard calling him that. A little embarrassed, Tako admits he knows it's a strange name, and people make fun of him for it. Besides, he doesn't like to talk much. But Daichi says he actually thought the name was cool and wanted to know more about who he really was. Strangely enough, the kid, all shy and cute, says he was arrested for manipulating the stock market and now has to spend a long time inside. The problem is, he's not good at dealing with people. Daichi tells him to relax. After all, they look like they're about the same age, so they could be friends. So they keep talking, and of course, guys, this is all part of Daichi's manipulator training. Kamishiro even compliments him, saying he did well for his first time. Our boy repeats one of the rules. Listen 70%, speak only 30%, keep eye contact when asking something and always compliment. He followed every step of that. And just like that, he managed to befriend Tako. Kamishiro says it may look simple, but with most people it's not that easy. The boy had just the right personality. Our boy barely notices. Maybe he's falling for the old con game himself. He then comments that Tako seems like a smart guy who really understands the stock market. Kamishiro replies that in that case they should invite the kid to study the subject together. Daichi asks why was Tako really so good that they needed to learn from him? The old man says yes, he was well known in the industry, but that wasn't the only reason. Daichi needed to understand that the goal he sought was impossible to reach alone. He would need allies, and in turn he'd need power and charm to keep those people close. One thing the old man admits, though, the kid had talent. That's when Daichi thanks him, but wants to know why he's being so kind to him like this. The old man tells him to guess. Our boy says maybe he needs people to help him escape from here, that he's probably in the same kind of situation and wants out. The old man says it's not a bad guess, but Daichi cuts him off, saying that even if they were using him, he wouldn't care. He'd sell his soul to the devil if it meant getting help for revenge. Kamishiro tells him not to be so impatient. Everything would be revealed once he graduated from his school. And with that, he leaves the table, leaving Daichi a little confused. The days pass, and the protagonist keeps learning more and more from Kamishiro. There they are, the three of them in the library, Tako talking about candlestick charts, investment law, market analysis, and so on. Our boy looks interested, eager to learn about the competition. Even Kamishiro chimes in, saying Tako has a good eye for the right companies. At night, do you think they stop, man? No way. He's lying down next to the old man, who's now talking about politics and patterns. Even during exercise, the old guy is on his back, this time teaching English. He tosses Dai a book with 3,000 vocabulary words, saying it's not the best place to learn, but it's all they've got. And of course, every day, Dai never skips physical training. Now, man, he's doing 19 pull-ups, huh? The same kid who could barely do 3. And just like that, time flies. Green trees turn yellow, and soon snow begins to fall. Seasons pass. Later, our little minion is knocking out 47 one-handed pull-ups. What the heck, man? He's practically levitating while reading. He did 50. Tako's right there, telling him he's really gotten strong. The kid's looking like a Max Steel man, and Daichi just asks if his friend really thinks so. Everyone's training, and a bit later Daichi asks the old man about women. Kamishiro explains that if he had a woman by his side, everything would be easier. Our boy, a little awkward, says he used to have a girlfriend. Kamishiro shrugs, saying that doesn't matter. He's handsome enough to get another. The only problem is he's too kind, and he needs to learn how to make things happen. With that, Kamishiro places a hand on his shoulder and says that when drinking with a woman, he should just do this. He pulls him close, whispers something in his ear, and our boy blushes, asking if that really works. Oh, you sly old man, he just shared a secret in written voice with us, too. Daichi wants to know if it truly works, but the old man says he'll only find out if he tries. Still, he's sure the boy will do great with women since he was so devoted to his mom. Confused, Daichi asks what one thing has to do with the other. The old man makes a strange assumption, saying if Dai went back in time and took his mother on a date, how would he treat her? Once again, Daichi doesn't understand what kind of crazy talk this is. Then he remembers the media calling her the woman who died from the shock of what happened to her son. Kamishiro simply says he's sure she was a good mother, the kind of person who raised Daichi to be who he is. Embarrassed, Daichi says he's not so sure about that. Kamishiro then comments that he believes in the afterlife. And that's why, once Daichi gets out, he should visit her grave. He's sure she's still waiting to see him. Daichi gets emotional, crying, though honestly, I still feel like the old man might just be manipulating him. I don't know if I should find it sweet or suspicious. At least we can admire our boy training with shredded abs and 300 kilos of muscle, right? Bam, bam. Kamishiro shows up again, complimenting him. He points toward a guy nearby and asks if Daichi sees that handsome, slim man over there. Daichi says yes, and Kamishiro explains that's the former TV host named Haruki. When the time is right, our boy should get close to him and study him carefully. He'll be an extremely important ally when it comes to escaping. Just then, a guard arrives, announcing that inmate 1034 has a visitor. Daichi, obviously confused, wonders who could possibly be visiting him after all this time. I thought it'd be a friend, maybe a villain, something like that. But no, man, it's some guy named Yamashita who works for the Criminal Investigation Department of the police. Daichi greets him, sits down, and asks what he can do for the two of them. Before the guy can even respond, he eagerly asks if they're reopening the investigation into his case. Embarrassed, the chubby man tells him to calm down. They didn't come to talk about his case at all. What they want is to ask about someone named Kamishiro Jindai. Before the conversation begins, he asks if he can smoke, and our boy tells him to go ahead. While lighting up a cigarette, the chubby guy asks if he's close with Kamishiro Jinda. Daichi explains that they share the same cell, so they talk from time to time. Imash goes on to say that the man wasn't only arrested for murder, but also for a huge financial crime. He was locked away with an absurd amount of damage involved, and apparently, there are rumors about some money he's hidden. Daichi instantly knows what he means, the cryptocurrencies that man once mentioned. Yamashita then says bluntly that all they want is for the boy to figure out where it's hidden. Daichi asks if they expect him to act as a spy, but the man insists it isn't spying. He would simply be cooperating with them. It would be a great help to the Ministry of Justice, and in return, they'd give him a very fitting reward. They even suggest that early release might be possible. At that time, Daichi still had 10 years left before freedom, which meant he had already spent 5 years behind bars. And the worst part? After all that time, Kamishiro Jindai remained a complete mystery. Yamashita rests a hand on Daichi's shoulder, saying he can tell the kid is a good person, someone who doesn't belong in a place like this. Then he flashes a smile like a monster from Attack on Titan, telling Dai he needs to live intelligently. But instead, Daichi asks if the detective believes in the afterlife. The man laughs, and Daichi remarks that it was Kamishiro who had brought that subject up. Suddenly, he stands and says, "A rational person like Kamishiro wouldn't say something like that just to encourage anyone, and that's why I won't betray him." Yamashita bites his lip and replies, "All right then, but you'll regret this." Daichi simply waves goodbye, and with that he's taken away. And honestly, I can't even blame him. Daichi had promised himself long ago never to trust the authorities again. Really, it's better to be tricked by the old man than by that damn chubby guy who never lifted a finger for him. The scene then shifts. Someone is pouring a glass of wine. It's Dagura, commenting, "This 1995 wine is wonderful." In the room with him is Josaki, who asks if he remembers Daichi Enamot-Daichi. Dagura replies that, of course, he remembers. That idiot who used to live well but now rots behind bars. The lawyer then says he heard the boy grew close to Kamishiro Jindai in prison. Immediately, Dagura looks startled, asking if he means that Jindai. Josaki confirms, adding that it would be much better if Daichi Enamot-Daichi were to disappear. Carelessly, Dagura shrugs, saying whatever. The kid's locked up anyway, what could they possibly do? Josaki agrees, but warns him. The boy was sentenced young to 15 years, which means before too long, he'll be out. That's why he thinks it's best to deal with this sooner rather than later. Suddenly, he makes a call and says he has a favor to ask. Back inside the prison, Haruki is chatting cheerfully with Daichi. He says he used to work at a bar as well until he got fired. Then Haruki suddenly grabs Daichi by the shoulders, insisting they're both kind people. Another oddball in this prison, man. The lack of women in here is seriously messing with the guys' heads. Later, Daichi leaves and the old man asks how the talk went. Daichi replies that the man seemed nice enough, but his personality was difficult to read. He smiled with his mouth but not with his eyes. Kamishiro advises him to keep watching closely and to trust his instincts. Then he shifts the subject, asking if Daichi remembers Ruiji Bamba, the guy who nearly beat him to death and had been in solitary until now. The problem is, he's just been released. And from the look on his face, it's obvious he's not happy about his time in isolation. The old man tells Daichi that Bamba has a younger sister he deeply cares about. Apparently, years ago, she went through something terrible and has remained hospitalized ever since. Now Daichi finally understands why that man was so furious when he learned about his case. Kamishiro warns him that, whether true or false, he needs to be more careful from now on. Sometime later, inside Bamba's cell, everyone looks terrified, even though Bamba himself is calmly reading a magazine. Then the guard opens the door, announcing new arrivals to the cell. Kamishiro strolls in, waving hello to Bamba. As soon as he sees him, Bamba sneers that the bastard still does whatever he wants here. The old man replies that it doesn't matter, he's still just the king of a prison with limited freedom. Bamba tells him to spit it out already, and Kamishiro says he has a small favor to ask. He wants to tell him something about a certain person who has been serving under him for a while. Meanwhile, outside, Haruki is patting Daichi on the back, telling him not to worry. Those 10 years will pass quickly, and he'll be free soon. But in the middle of the chat, Daichi wonders why Kamishiro said this guy would be important to his escape plan. Suddenly, Haruki says he can't wait to get out and commit the exact crime Daichi was accused of. He says there's nothing better than using certain substances to turn people into puppets. Daichi's expression changes instantly, and he asks what he's talking about. But Haruki tells him to stop pretending. He knows they're the same. He looked into the reason Daichi was locked up and found out. The two of them are identical. While Haruki warns Daichi to learn to leave fewer traces, someone huge appears behind him. Daichi tries to warn him, but the man already has him in a chokehold. Of course, it's Bamba, vowing to make him suffer just like those women. Daichi shouts for him to wait, but Bamba simply sums up the situation. A crack, the sound of a neck snapping echoes. Night falls and a doctor enters one of the wings. Inside, Kamishiro asks how the preparations are going. The doctor says that, unfortunately, Haruki is gravely injured, his vital signs are weak, and his condition is critical. Daichi reports that the idiot Bamba attacked the guy, and worse, Enomoto tried to intervene and got beaten too. The doctor explains that with the limited equipment in this place, the surgery was very difficult, but somehow they succeeded. He admits he has no idea what sort of madness they pulled off, but praises Kamishiro's brilliance for managing it. While Kamishiro compliments him back, a guard in the corner has been listening the entire time. Suddenly, he opens the door and steps inside. In the bed, the two of them are lying down, completely wrapped in bandages. And man, he injects something straight into our boy's forebag. Right after that, the hospital monitor begins to beep. But then the scene shifts to Sydney, Daichi's ex-girlfriend, and look who it is. None other than that bastard Kataku. He says he bought tickets to a concert of the singer she likes and asks if she'd like to have some fun. But man, it's been 5 years, and she's still heartbroken, saying that, unfortunately, she isn't in the mood for that. I hadn't thought much of this girl, but turns out she really cared about our boy. That loser Kadot pulled all this and still got nowhere. He asks if she's still waiting for Daichi. She pauses for a moment, then turns around, saying she's certain Daichi would never do something like that. Then Kadot says he has to tell her something really sad he heard from a judge. Sitomeru instantly knows it's about Daichi, and right then the guy says that apparently Daichi had some complications and died from a heart attack. At that moment, Suto freezes, collapses to her knees, and starts crying. Kadot hugs her, saying it's okay, that it's hard, and that Daichi really was a good person. In the library, Tako slams the table, saying Daichi was only trying to stop a fight, so why did it have to be a guy like him? Kamishiro says he can't believe Daichi really died like that. Man, did he really die? One of the guards in the room says it's tragic that the boy died like that right before being granted parole, especially since he was the one who got beaten by Bama. Yet in the end, it was the other guy who lost his life. The doctor says, yeah, it kinda makes sense. Then the scene cuts to that bastard Dagura and the damn Josaki celebrating. They were finally rid of Enamot-Daichi's existence. Kamishiro was serving life, so they didn't have to worry about him anymore. All he could be was the cane of the prison, which didn't matter to them. Dagura praises their perfect plan, saying he'll be making a lot of money soon, so they just need to stay on track. With a wicked grin, Josaki looks up and says that at last they have nothing to fear. But now, man, someone is leaving the prison with black hair. It's more than obvious what just went down, and the guard says he hopes the guy recovers soon. The boy thanks him for everything, and the door shuts. He raises his hand to block the sun, saying that finally he's free. He visits his mother's grave, lays down flowers, and apologizes for taking so long to come. From the mark behind his ear, we know exactly who it is, and he apologizes for showing up with a different face. Then we see him in the hospital, asking if they're really telling him to die. And what does Kamishiro mean by something like this? Suddenly, the old man says that just like he mentioned before, the time has come for him to abandon his life as Enamot-Daichi. The doctor explains they're going to transplant his entire face and hair area. Basically, he was about to switch places with that guy. Obviously, Daichi says, "This is insane. There's no way a surgery like that can even be real." Kamishiro answers that he should take advantage of it. That guy beside him was garbage, and there was no chance they'd allow something like him to walk out of this place. From the very start, Kamishiro told him he had to be prepared for this. In the operating room, our boy decided to leave behind his life as Enamot-Daichi. And my friend, it was like a Halloween mask, you know? They ripped it all off and swapped one face for another. Man. That day, he walked out of the room as Takahashi Haruki. A slick one now, he had that handsome face and says, "Don't worry, Mom, because right here and now, my revenge against those guys is just beginning." A little while later, he's in a karaoke building, taking a really relaxing bath. Seems like a few days had passed already, enough for the scars from surgery to start fading. Now he had to get used to the thought, right? That he wasn't Enamot-Daichi anymore but Haruki. At that moment, when he first woke up in the hospital, he looked terrified, asking, "Wait, where's Haruki?" The doctor quickly said that Haruki had died. Apparently it was a heart attack, but strangely enough, since the surgery went perfectly, his condition was stable and he was still sedated. Kamishiro immediately said it was obvious he was killed. Daichi asks why someone would kill that guy inside the prison, and Kamishiro says clearly the one who was supposed to die wasn't him. And yeah, the one who actually died that day was Enomoto, right? Then our boy understands, the guy died because he had just switched faces with him. For some reason, Daichi gets upset with himself, right? Because indirectly, he caused the guy's death. But considering who it was, man, he deserved even worse. He passed away peacefully, still asleep with a siren. What an easy ending. Good thing he got beaten beforehand. The doctor says he had no idea this would happen, and Kamishiro replies that it's karma for what Haruki did when he was out of prison. For sure, he'll enjoy hell. The guy, at least, is grateful, since they were wondering how to calm Kamishiro when he woke up with a completely different face. Damn, must be rough, you get beaten, then wake up with another face. It's like an ice guy, except not. You just got screwed and ended up with the face of someone already screwed. The protagonist, however, wonders what happens next, which the guy says is obvious. Now he's going to be released in that man's place and begin his revenge. Finally, the time had come to put into action the plan he'd been preparing for 2 years. Later, he went to Haruki's room, grabbed his phone and everything else. Man, the guy had stacks of black cards, money, and a phone. Looking at the reflection on the phone, he recalls Haruki saying that getting girls hooked on drugs and other stuff was amazing. Mikagi lies back, thinking it doesn't matter. That bastard is going to hell too when he dies. For now, he can wait for him there. But here on Earth, it's him who's going to use that face, man. A little later, in a luxury hotel in Tokyo, he's all swagged out with a watch on his wrist. Looks like he arranged with Kamishiro to meet a certain someone at that place. From one second to the next, a guy sits in the chair, asking if he's the president's apprentice. Daichi says yes and gives the secret password. Wait, reflect, and have hope. The guy lowers his sunglasses, smiles, and says his name is Sato. Daichi asks about their relationship, and he replies that the president saved him countless times. He had countless enemies but managed to gain countless allies too. Then he hands our boy a kid's passport filled with documents. The dude even changed his name to Kurisu Fyodo. I thought he was going to take on the name of that other crazy guy. But whatever. Sato then stands up and tells him to give it his all. And our boy thanks him. Inside the bag, the guy had also left a new phone and 2 bundles of cash. Man, he remembers how Kamishiro told him to begin converting the cryptocurrencies into money little by little. Obviously, Daichi still wanted to understand why Kamishiro was going so far for him, why he was giving money all this support, and what exactly he expected in return. Kamishiro replies that what he wants goes way beyond the kid's revenge. Looking at the money, Daichi can only thank him for everything. Man, really, huh? I doubted the old man. Maybe there's still going to be a plot twist, I don't know. But the guy truly came through for our boy. He arrives at the airport, passes smoothly with the new documents. We're already leaving. I don't know where to. I do know, man. He's already on the plane, thinking about the 3 targets of his revenge. Obviously, first, he has to investigate where they are, the resources they hold, and their connections. He's going all the way to fully uncover Sayaka's death and why the blame was pinned on him. And of course, he's going to ensure they face despair much greater than what he experienced. The thing is, that guy over there is extremely powerful and influential in this city. For now, he needs money and help. That's why he's going abroad to get the money Kamishiro passed on to him. 50 billion in cryptocurrency. Man. 3 years later and we're in Tokyo. Money from all over the world is flowing into the city, fueling development, but mainly into the bars and casinos. Obviously, because of that, Tokyo's nightlife is wild, right, man? But at the same time, that's creating a strange social disparity. And now, on the plane, the flight attendant, chubby, cheerful, shows up to greet our boy, saying, "They're almost there." He just thanks her. Look at the rascal there, man. Got himself an earring and now has that older look. Staring out the windows, he says he can't believe he's back in this place after so long. In a region called Marinachi. The old men were all smiling, saying, "It's a wonder to meet someone like him." Apparently, our boy, I don't know what he's been up to, but he's known around here. He's kind of shy, saying it's nice to meet them too. He obviously now goes by Kurisu. Strangely, the old guys didn't believe the kid was really that young. That's funny because I think he looks older. The throne was basically already born there, and the old men say that thanks to the casino war, more and more rich people are coming into Japan. The stock market just doesn't stop exploding. The guy showing the tablet to the protagonist didn't seem like he wanted to be there much, but apparently some American investors recommended the kid so highly that he agreed to meet him. And of course, the 2 guys were already plotting to make him deposit at least 200 million. But he flips the script. Man, they think he's going to offer 200 million. He already says he'll start by depositing 2 billion. Instantly, the guys stand up thanking him, saying they never expected something so incredible. Kurisu tells them to stay calm. And now I'm kind of confused. They call him Daichi, then they call him Kurisu. And now I don't even know. I think I'll stick to calling him Kurisu, cause it's going to take a while before people figure out he's Daichi. And everyone's going to keep referring to him as Kurisu, and it'll mess me up every time. But you know it's him, no secret. A little while after the meeting, he's leaving with the guys, thanking him. That old man obviously wants to get closer to the boy, asking if he's free tonight. He made a reservation at a Michelin restaurant and wanted him to go. But our boy puts on some swaggy sunglasses and says not tonight. He's got other plans for the evening. What's this, man? I saw some lingerie on the floor and thought he was already back at it again in Japan. But no, it's that bastard Kataku, man. This bastard's still alive. It's 11 a.m. He slams the alarm and kicks the girl, asking how long she's going to sleep. Man, the other one's crazy to be with a guy like that, right, bro? She's confused, demanding to know what he thinks he's doing, then just tells him to disappear already. And apparently now he owns a bar or something like that. The girl already got dressed and stormed out, slamming the door and saying he's the worst. But Cadet doesn't even know who she is exactly. Then, looking at the city view, he figures she must have just been some random girl he hooked up with last night. That guy is still living the good life. Look at this man. He hooked up with her without even knowing who she was, then jumped in the BMW and left. Living in the mansion, driving a luxury car, saying now he's going to make even more money. Then he's at a place called the Emperor's Lobby. And now it seems like he owns that place. Everyone's celebrating, shouting that the boss has arrived. One of the guys shows up kind of awkwardly, saying they've got a VIP guest today. Cadet is instantly surprised. Man, the guest had requested loads of extremely expensive wines and champagnes. The sucker couldn't hide his smile. He could already smell the money coming. Who could be the big shot in the VIP room, fellas? He's surrounded by the baddest of the bad. The blonde sucker walks in awkwardly, apologizing for interrupting his private moment. His name was Cadet, the owner of that place, and he came to greet the boy. Our boy stands up, and man, suddenly he looks like he's in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. What kind of jawline is that, bro? He introduces himself as Kurisu and says, "It's a pleasure to meet you for the first time. This rascal loves throwing hints, huh? But before that, shall we go back in time a bit?" "Why go back in time, man? But all right, fine. What can I do?" "We go back." A guy had entered the room, Broenji, and asking what type of girl he preferred. He replies that he has a particular interest, and the guy says he understands, so he'd bring the best ones. Looking around though, Kurisu was just wondering if this was now that guy's castle. Shortly after, the guy apologizes and comes in with the first baddie. That one would pass a crash test, guys. She walks in all cushioned and introduces herself as Mizuki. She's feeling herself, and the dude who only walks around kneeling comes back again, asking what he wants to drink. The curious guy opens the menu, closes the menu, and says he wants everything. Next scene, champagne popping. There he is with the baddies. The girls are all saying it's their first time drinking something so expensive. Meanwhile, the guys serving are whispering that the bastard dropped 1,000,000 yen just like that. It makes no sense. Mizuki already wants to know, how come he's so rich and impressive being so young? One of them squeezes his arm, saying he's as young as the owner of that place. The protagonist simply asks if the place is good, and she replies that it's okay. Unlike the other groups in the area, they didn't even have sales targets. On top of that, they could wear whatever clothes they wanted. While they were chatting about all sorts of random things, he glanced at his watch, already knowing he was flaunting money and would soon appear. And just as he thought that, look who shows up at the door. At that moment, he looked back at the girls, reminding himself he had to stay calm. No emotion could show. That's when the bastard Cadet appeared by his side, apologizing for interrupting. He introduced himself as the Dawn and said his little name. Daichi stood up, saying it was a pleasure to meet him, and introduced himself as Kurisu. Some time passes, and the girl in the red dress asks Cadet to stop talking about that stuff. He's there telling the story about the day she puked, while everyone laughs. The protagonist, however, is just relieved to realize the guy hadn't noticed anything. Cadet then excuses himself, saying he's heading out. The guy says goodbye and that they'll see each other again soon. As soon as that happened, he would pay the price for everything our boy had gone through. Obviously, the moment he thought that, his expression shifted, and it seems like the lead girl, Mizuki, noticed something. The next morning, a girl and a guy I don't recognize are standing in front of a bunch of screens, commenting on a strange price change and saying someone's manipulating the market. Now I realize who it is. It's that kid he met in prison. The one good with stocks, right? That's why he's checking the market. His nickname outside, it seems, is Octopus. Our boy laughs, noticing he still has that same thing on his head from the day they got out. In the flashback, we see that as soon as he stepped outside prison, our boy was already there waiting for him. He was a little confused, wanting to know if he was really Daichi, who simply replied that Tako would have to help him with a certain revenge. For what he needed to do, his skills were crucial. The friend says that back then he was confused and afraid. But at that moment, Dai places a card on the table, saying he needs to get straight to the point. There's a certain company he needs to investigate. Obviously, you could already see it on the card. Right, man? Kataku. He wanted an investigation into those guys and the club they ran called Emperor. Tako asks by when, and he says within a week at most. Immediately, the kid grabs all the takoyaki, whatever it's called, stuffs it into his mouth and says 3 days is enough. Our boy thanks him, and Tako then asks why he wants to know about a company that isn't even listed on the stock exchange. The protagonist replies that he believes that company has committed countless crimes and it's time to drag them into the light. Our boy tells himself that the rotten castle that man built by ruining lives will be destroyed. Next scene, a couple is leaving a love hotel, and the woman says the place was amazing. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a guy appears, taking a picture. She asks who that crazy person is. The weirdo introduces himself as Oda Kazuki, a private detective. Hold on, let me check my list here. Well crap, it's him, guys. The Diddy from prison, right bro? Looks like now he's with our boy too. At least people said he was a good detective. Next scene, the nutcase is in a cafe with the two of them, saying it's funny she's going out with a high school boy and still passing out. Her husband would cry if he knew something like that. Damn. Looks like the situation's worse than I thought. The woman asks if he's a private detective and begs him not to tell her husband, promising to pay him off in an incredible way. Man, oh man, that's unstoppable. Even the detective is suffering under her charms, though of course Kazuki didn't like that. He simply asks her to stop with the insults. Man, both the suckers there start sweating cold, bro. Then he tells her to just go home because he'll need a serious talk with her husband. As soon as she leaves, though, yeah bro, Diddy goes after the boy immediately, warning him that messing with a married woman could bring problems. He should try finding true love with him. But the boy runs off, saying he doesn't want to work with that anymore. Meanwhile, Diddy mutters it's impossible to find someone and fall in love. 2 years ago, he got out of prison, and obviously after the scandals, there was no way he could go back to being a detective. That's why he began working as a private investigator, using his old connections. Since he has a criminal record, he doesn't have a detective's license, so he's technically working illegally. I didn't even know that, right? I never really thought about it. What college do you even go to for becoming a detective? Is it police? I guess so, right? What am I even saying? Obviously, from time to time, he had to take risky jobs and get into fistfights, bro. He constantly throws himself into danger to try filling that void in his heart. He looks at a poster about honest working boys, but he doesn't look very excited. Suddenly, he cries out, yelling to the heavens, asking why the prince had to die. Obviously, right bro? Remembering our Dai, who was willing to wait for our boy for 15 years until he got out of prison. Then he realizes he's hungry, goes into the shop across the street, orders a ramen, and sits down. But by a twist of fate, right man? Look who's sitting right next to him, eating ramen. Diddy's heart can't handle it, right bro? The nutcase just keeps thinking how long his eyelashes are. Sad eyes and shiny lips. The crazy guy says that's the kind of intense beauty he admires most. But suddenly he starts shaking his head, saying he can't think like that. His prince is in heaven. My God, bro. This guy's not right in the head. Our boy thanks and gets up right away. Yeah. Bro Kazuki gulps everything down and starts looking around for the boy. His heart is pounding fast, and he wonders if this could be love after 5 years. Back at our boy's base, Hako is living the good investor life. Right, man. Surrounded by monitors, watching graphs while gaming at the same time. Damn, that must be awesome, bastard. He knows how to make money. That jerk. That's when our boy walks in, asks about the investigation, and Tako tells him to come take a look. He opens up a bunch of tower charts, spring onions, and little pizzas. Take a look at all of it, my boy. Scanning through it, our boy quickly finds the name he was looking for. Takuritsu, that old man from the beginning, the one who owns everything in the area. Then, Tako says that Gyot might have his name on the card as the owner, but he barely owns any shares in the place. Karasu says, of course, it's obvious. People are working behind the scenes, pulling the strings, But now the time has come for him to start paying the price for getting mixed up in all this. Tako already understands and asks if these are the ones who framed Daichu Enamot. The guys confirm it, and his friend says, "Those bastards can't be forgiven." Then he pats his buddy and adds, "First, they'll need some new allies." For the moment, Tako's mission is only to take care of Kamashiro's money and make it grow. The boy replies that he shouldn't worry. When you already have money, it's easy to make more. Then our boy says they'll also need an informant from the underworld. Surely those guys must have committed other crimes besides his own case. And the key, of course, lies in those drugs they produce and use. The protagonist recalls it was that synthetic stuff called ice, the very same substance found in the body of the girl who died 5 years earlier, and also in that energy drink given to him by that bastard Cadotte. That's why the trial was such a disaster for him. What he needs now is someone not only to investigate the drugs, but also to dig into how everything operates in the underworld. Man, you already know who's about to show up, right? Tako says he knows about investments, right, girl? So that's kind of out of his area. Our boy walks off, saying Tako can keep focusing on investigating the companies, while he himself is going to wander around the city to clear his head. Man, no way. He's in a Tokyo sauna. And guess who's there? Now I just realized it's obvious, but still, our boy can't go after Sodomiyu, his girlfriend from way back at the start. And of course, just as that bastard Diddy is about to leave the sauna, who's standing right there next to him? Our boy, man. He immediately turns red, saying, "It's an incredible coincidence to meet the same angel twice." Our boy looks at the weirdo who's all shy, covering himself up, saying he has to talk to that prince naturally. Just then, an old man stands to leave, but trips, and while falling he pulls the towel off. Man, did he? Obviously, if I remember right, Diddy saw our girl. I think he saw her, yeah. For sure he'll recognize her. While our boy helps the old man, the crazy ones are crying, all emotional, saying he found the prince. But I knew it didn't add up. He was supposed to have died in prison. Man, he got so shaken that he collapsed on the red floor. Someone even came in asking if he was okay or if he was dead. Sometime later, back at the Emperor Bar, the waiter asks what he wants. And our boy tells him to bring Mizuki. I thought he'd order a drink or something, but nope. He asked for a woman. Turns out our boy had noticed Oe sitting there in the corner, never imagining he'd see that guy in a place like this. He knows he can't return to the police because of his crimes. So what is he doing now? Maybe he should look into it. Just then, the trespassing girl shows up, acting all gentle, speaking in a sweet voice, saying she missed Friodo. D decides to leave the topic of Oga for later, since now he'll have to deal with this crazy girl and investigate what Cadotte has been up to. Mizuki smiles brightly, saying she's happy to see him there again. But obviously, Kurasu's plan is to turn her into a friend. He needs an informant in this place. The problem is, she gives him a strange look. Will she really become an ally? Who knows, man. But he puts on that serious face, saying he needs a girl who will absolutely obey him and act as his spy. A little later, the other girls whisper that he's acting odd today, not even drinking. He replies that once he made a huge mistake with alcohol, so he prefers it this way. The girls laugh, saying everyone's been through that, and that they'd like to see him drunk. Cad's there laughing too, but deep inside he's wondering who this strange guy is. He didn't seem like the usual gangsters who hang out there, those who scam and steal to get money. Maybe he was some kid who got rich recently with stocks or something. Suddenly, Kurisu stands up and says he's going to the bathroom. Cadotte says he'll show him the way, but actually, another guy takes him instead. On the way, he runs into one of those old men he'd invested $2 billion with, who's already super excited, saying it's fate for the two to meet again. He thanks the boy for the other day, while Cadotte watches from the corner, keeping an eye on everything. Cadotte asks who that strange client is. The boy replies that he seems to be an executive from a foreign company that hired a Japanese man. Apparently, he had worked abroad for years and only just returned to Japan. The old man leans toward our boy, clearly excited because even executives bowed to him. This was exactly what he needed. A truly wealthy man. In this world, money doesn't buy women, bro, it buys men. As soon as Mizuki leaves the room, though, KDOT grabs her arm and orders her to do whatever it takes to win over this Kurosug guy. She looks confused, but he fixes his gaze on her and asks if she understands. Awkwardly, as he gets closer, he tells her she must realize this guy has money beyond her imagination. Besides, it seemed like he kind of liked her, so she'd better take advantage of that. In the end, she'll benefit too. Later, they sit talking at one of the bar's tables, and Mizuki mentions it seems like Kadote is dating one of the girls there. Kurisu asks if that's not forbidden like employees dating. She says it's not allowed, but since the guy owns the place, no one dares to say anything. She adds that she doesn't really know which girl it is. That would be key information for Kurisu to uncover, since obviously, the girl involved with him must know a lot. But suddenly, Mizuki asks why he keeps coming to this club. He's caught off guard, but quickly smiles and asks what she means. She explains that since he doesn't seem interested in the girls, of course she's curious. The madman Kurisu thinks he's been acting carefully to hide his intentions, but she's sharp. Bro, you go to the club, order 300 champagnes, blow 1 billion yen, and don't take a single girl home, nothing suspicious, right? He still doesn't answer, so Mizuki asks why he invited her to dinner like this. Surely he was invited by the other girls. He answers awkwardly that she seemed like the easiest to talk to, more polite and calm. It was relaxing to chat with her. Oh, is she falling for him? Are the boys using those persuasion tricks he learned in prison? Bro, you're not ready for this kid. Then he reveals he's also interested in the way the club is run, considering it as a possible investment opportunity. So he said it, right? And now she gets all pouty, saying she finally understands why he hasn't been that into the girls. But honestly, he's not right in the head either. Out of nowhere, he grabs her arm and checks her wrist for needle marks, just to see if this girl's being drugged. Considering what dude did to him, that's the bare minimum. But since he doesn't see any marks, he holds her face, bringing it close to inspect her dark circles and whether her pupils look strange. Looks like the boy also needs an eye transplant, huh? Can't see a thing unless he brings the girl within 1 centimeter. Or maybe he's playing a double game, pretending to gather info while also hitting on her. She gets awkward and shy while he just stands there in the spotlight, and she's staring at him. Of course, she says he's way too handsome. That prison surgeon was the real culprit, right, bro? Swapped the kid's head and made it nearly perfect. Meanwhile, in the real world, girls get 2 little tweaks and end up with lips looking like sausages. She says he must be tired of hearing how handsome he is, and he replies, not that much. It wasn't something he was proud of either, since he hadn't worked for it. He's just playing that double game. This bastard. Is he talking to her, or to us readers in the morning? Man, focus on the girl already, kid. After checking him out, she leans in, and he asks if she's drunk. Suddenly, she grabs his hand and says she won't even ask to be his girlfriend. She just wants to spend the part of the day called night inside 4 walls with a bed in the middle. So maybe they should go find a little room. Dear God, the artist's too good. What is this, bro? Way too early in the day for me to be seeing stuff like this. I just woke up, guys. Cut it out, girl. The curious bastard gets into bed, obviously thinking about the investigation he needs to handle. Then Batty shows up, apologizing for making him wait. When he asks if she's nervous, she suddenly grabs something but falls onto the bed. She says it's her first time, so he should be gentle. Girl, now you're going full crazy hug. He's dumb, but not dumb enough to believe that. But the damn girl starts rolling around in the sheets, and all he can think is it's time to find a new spy. Damn. I thought the next chapter would start with the result of the night, but nope. There he is just staring, wondering if this is the right move to make her dependent on him. He could have had her investigate Kadote or even the Emperor's palace. Mizuki looks all emotional when he asks if what she really wants is money. If that's the case, she just has to say how much. She stands up all shaky, asking what he means. But Kurisu walks away, still wanting to know if what she wanted was only money. Was it 50,000, 100,000, or more? Man, her expression changed. Poor girl. Looks like she really liked our boy, or she's just a damn good actress. Then she tells herself to stop being so naive, that she's tired of acting this way. The poor thing stands there in disbelief, trembling, saying she wasn't doing this for money. Suddenly, she cries and screams in desperation, telling him to stop insulting her like that. Kurisu lowers his head and apologizes. Then he says he'll leave the place paid for, but he's leaving. Oh man, Japanese stories are always like this. Huh? Had to be about a Japanese guy. They always think it's super stylish for the guy to never do anything. Like, I'm too cool to get women. If it were one of those crazy Chinese dudes, he'd have already trashed the whole bar in a much cooler scene. But instead, there he is, giving her a warning to get out of that place. I'll forgive him only because, in the car, he's already thinking that she isn't the right person to be a spy. She's too kind, and it's better not to drag her into this. What a guardian angel. That bastard. Next day, there he is, bro, standing in front of the school he used to attend. All the girls walking by are impressed, saying he's ridiculously handsome just standing there out of nowhere. He watches the students talk about school exams and remembers that back then was the happiest time of his life, when his only duty was going to school. He had friends to talk to, and his mom was still alive. Man, the kid's life is cruel. Huh guys, even his happiest moment happened when his mom was already in the hospital. What a damn shame. I forgive you, kid. You're cool even if you don't hook up with all the girls at the club. And of course, he doesn't forget that he lost it all on that day. He punches the wall, asking why that bastard did this to him. Later, Tako is in a fancy building, admiring the view, saying it's beautiful. Kurisu, not very excited, asks what the next step is. Kurisu says there are 3 people he clearly needs revenge on. That scumbag Kadogu, the rich scumbag from the bar, and that damn lawyer who ruined his sentence. He's sure one of them was involved in Sayaka's death, but the other 2 were tied to his imprisonment. The problem is, he has to be careful because once he kills one, the others will investigate him. That's why he needs to know all 3 and have everything ready before acting. Tako points out that he's only met Kadote so far, so how's he planning to connect with the other 2? Kurisu says that won't be hard, since those guys always throw huge parties. Anyone with money or influence gets invited, and since Katode's got his eye on him, the invitation will come soon. He even noticed Kaget watching him from the corner, so it's only a matter of time. Even his friend comments that the kid's taking this revenge really slow, right, Luke? Kurisu replies there's no need to rush. He wants to make them suffer for a long time. Just killing them quickly wouldn't be fun. That night at the hotel he asks about Mizuki, and the guy says she hasn't been around lately. Obviously, he doesn't need to worry about the company, since there are plenty of beautiful girls there. Kurisu thanks him, tells him to bring another, and stays behind thinking that yes, she really left after what he said. He wonders if that was truly his intention, but in the end, it's probably better for her. He needs a woman with more desire, someone easier to manipulate. Whoa man, only heavy competition in this place. Wait, looking again, our boy's face changes. It's his ex-girlfriend working there. Damn guys, it's over. That bastard kid, right bro? Stole the girl, didn't get anywhere with her, and still threw her in there. Truly a scumbag. And of course, the moment Kurisu saw her, bro, he was shocked out of his mind. MC, after seeing his girlfriend smiling and greeting him in this place, was shocked out of his mind. But Sitomaru, not knowing what is going on inside MC's mind, greets Dachi Enamot by saying nice to meet you. How are you today? And with that, she approaches MC and sits beside him. MC, still shocked, looked towards her and kept muttering Mary? Maru. Man, that scene shocked my mind and heart for a moment. Let me know about your thoughts in the comments. After that bone-chilling thriller, the scene takes us to the washroom, where the MC is watching himself in the mirror. MC thought to himself, alright, the mole is properly hidden. While exiting from the washroom, he touched the place where the mole was situated. At this moment, he started considering that he should just get it removed after all. After a long mental masturbation, he decided that no, hiding it with concealer will do just fine. Adding another point to his mind, he mentioned it might become necessary one day. Obviously, to prove that I'm Enamot-Daichi. Anyway, coming back to the hall room, we heard Sitomaru praising MC. Omi. Kurisu. It's amazing how successful you are at such a young age. MC followed his scripted speech and told her, oh no, not at all. He looked at her and commented, you're not much older than me. He also adds, I think the owner of this place is around our age too, right? Sitomeru nodded in affirmation. Kurisu looked with a sharp eye towards her. In his thoughts, he started thinking, now that you mentioned it, if she's working here, then she must be close with Go. He ponders to himself, what is their relationship now? As if getting a clue, he got back to the past memory where Mizuki-chan is giving him the information that our owner, he seems to be dating one of the girls from the shop. Could it be her? Trying to prove his guess, he asked Sitomeru, hi Miss L, do you have a boyfriend? At first, she blushed hearing him ask this, but after a moment, she got her clarity back and Sitomeru, at that time started leaning on Kurisu's shoulder, and answered him, not really anyone I call a boyfriend. MC, in an understanding gesture, spoke, oh, I see what it is. She, after hearing his question, froze in her place, and all of a sudden she stared looking him with longing eyes. MC, feeling her gaze on him, flustered and asked her, what's wrong? Is something on my face? Sitomeru, coming closer to his face, asked him, have we met somewhere before? Hearing her thoughts, MC opened his blood-curdling eyes in shock, as if her comment struck a nerve in him. For a moment, he starts recalling his past moments where Sitomeru is holding his hands and joyfully calling him Daichi. Let's go on a trip together this summer. Man, I swear that memory was sweet and painful at the same time, even for me as a narrator. Now, we can guess what Daichi/Kurisu was falling. MC remembers the past started catching his chest. His ex-girlfriend, not understanding the uneasiness that Kurisu was feeling, worriedly started calling him, Mr. Kurisu, what's wrong? What's going on? Stood from the place, MC said sorry, but for now I think I'll head home for today. As he started leaving all the stuff and even the boss started bowing, giving him farewell. Sir, we hope to see you again soon. Sitomeru, seeing his leaving figure, started looking at him with longing eyes. Boo, on the other hand, Go, when he saw his customer didn't bite the bait, and she was a failure in her job, he looked at her with a menacing look. Man, the poor girl looks, what have you done to her life, and even after all that, you are using her like a fish bait with discarded status. Without any doubt, he is the protagonist among all the manhwa scum out there. After MC leaves, the scene shifts to the shop room. Go, angry and frustrated, pushes Sitomeru onto the hard floor. She, in pain, screams, ah, that hurts. Looking at Go, she requests, don't be so rough. Being the maniac he is, Go spoke, I told you to go out with that customer after work, didn't I? If that wasn't enough, he also started hitting and slapping her. Sitomeru, clearly in pain, told him it was my first day. That's too much. Giving her thoughts no second thoughts, he started savagely beating her at one point. He grabbed her hair, and with his annoying and super punchable face, he came closer to Sitomeru and told her that the customer had deep pockets. So your job is that you're going to sleep with him and dig up some intel about him. Asking again, he ordered, did you understand? If you can't follow orders, it won't be good for you. Unable to bear the toucher, she agreed to his proposal. Fine, I'll do it, just please give me that thing. And with that request, she makes a dispirited and addicted face. Kadoti, seeing her desperate, please tossed a packet of supper, healthy and not suspicious pills into the bed. With that, he also commented on what a pity you would have just said so from the start. Seeing the good stuff, she instantly jumped into bed and took the package from the bed. She started gulping them like a true addict. Also taking the job of being a misogynistic punk, he comments that women are best when they're obedient. At that moment, he opened his shirt and started shuddering. Sitomeru violently, obviously with the initiation of playing tig-tag that our MC is trying to play with all those girls from the start of the story. But not to anybody's surprise, he failed as if he was destined for it. Okay, enough of MC's incompetence. Let's dive back into the story. Zooming in, we saw MC eating with his revenge partner. When the partner noticed something different about him, he asked, bro, you are looking kinda down. Answering in the affirmative, Kurisu said, yeah, just remembering the past. Kurusu is trying to find the reason why Miru is working at Go's bar. Having a deep admiration and love for her, he asked himself if she still had even a sliver of feeling for him. Should I reveal my identity and ask her to investigate Go? Taking a safer approach, he thought, no, that's too risky. In the present, seeing MC zoned out, his partner started calling him Ha-Fuyuto. Is your stomach hurting? Then, in a helping D minor, he picks a pack of medicine in his hand and asks Kurusu, bro, do you want some medicine? As they were having a conversation with each other, the shop owner joined in and, laughing hardly, he mentioned watching Takeo and Fuyuto feel like seeing a worrywart girlfriend and her boyfriend. Hearing that declaration with Fuyuto, Takeo also gets shocked and flustered. Shyly, he said, worrying about a friend has nothing to do with gender. Hearing their bantering, he confusedly looked towards them, and just to add more clarity to the situation, he also told the shop owner, yes, that's true. Suddenly, grabbing his chin, he looked upwards and started thinking about something long and hard. Seeing his sudden demeanor, he asked, what's wrong? MC, just like us, even for a moment thought if she was a girl or a boy, but leaving that idea, he thought about the mission and said getting information doesn't have to come from a woman. Suddenly getting up from his place, he told Takeo, bro, please settle the bill. I'm leaving now. Man, I also admit that's the ninja technique of sticking the bill to your friend or partner. Coming to the next day, we saw our little lover of MC, complaining about some person's damn that cheating couple. Just got 5 hours holed up in a love hotel. Ugh, I'm so done with stakeouts. As he was leaving the place, someone called him from behind. Good morning, man. What's up? When he looked towards his rear side, he saw Fuyuto standing there in a dazzling look. He instantly blushed seeing MC. He started stammering his words, you are him, and what are you doing here? And man, not gonna lie, that blush was out of this world. Even the lead girls of this manga don't blush like this. Oh man, only God's direct intervention can save MC from him. MC looked confident as ever. He told him, I need to speak and consult with you. With that intention, MC entered Kazuki's place. Seeing the slick interior, Kurusu comments, man, what a beautiful office you got here. So what are you up to these days? Kazuki replied, oh, these days it's mostly infidelity investigations. With an old-fashioned, dirty detective office, we wouldn't get requests from women. Being hospitable, he starts making coffee for MC. After their talk segment is over, they sit in front of each other for further talk. Kurusu, thanking him for his hospitality, he starts elaborating his reason for coming here, but stops him with a hand gesture. Being asked him, how did you know that I'm a detective? Kurusu, completely flipping the genre of the story, starts saying, actually, ever since I saw you at the sauna, I've been curious about you. Man, just a few words like this, all that took for Kazuki to fling and spill his coffee. I wonder if MC started saying something more. What else can or will HW spill? Kuru's suddenly turning into a tomboy relayed to Kazuki, so the other day when I happened to see you in town. At that moment I started impulsively following you. Kazuki spoke, shocked and curious. And then you saw me enter this office? MC, acting to stay simple, elaborated. I was looking for a suitable detective agency, so then I decided to drop by. Hearing his explanation, Kazuki coldly thought to himself, I see there's probably no big lie in this person's word. My ex-detective instincts are telling me. Good luck trusting your instinct in the future, especially in front of MC. Thinking for a few moments, he said there's something untrustworthy about this man. Killing all that suspicion and detective aura, he thought. This guy with his possessing the same magnum as the prince. Again looking at MC's dazzling figure, he said, I can't suppress my interest in this person. After all that drama, Kazuki, coming back to the conversation, asked just one more thing. And can you forgive me for asking something so personal, but can you tell me if you have any siblings or close relatives who have been in prison? Kurusu, caught off guard, stammered in his process of drinking the coffee. Kazuki, when he saw MC's apparent shocked state, he quickly tried to make sense of the moment, told him, no, that's not it. I actually got into some trouble and was arrested before. And when I recalled the past, you just reminded me of a special friend I met during that time. Kurusu, sipping in his coffee, kept listening to his explanation. He also mentioned that I can't go into details, but I think I know Enamot-Daichi well. Man, I don't know how Kazuki is a detective when he is blind in love. Guess what, he didn't tell anyone his name, but Kurusu, the guy sitting in front of him, just told the secret name from his mind. Isn't that a little sus? Anyway, not giving ant F about common logic, Kazuki was surprised, asked really, do you know that name? In his little mind, he thought, could he be a relative after all? Someone connected to the princess, this person is indeed related somehow to him. Not wasting his precious time like us, MC made his intentions clear. I want to ask you to gather some information, and I'll pay 3 times the usual rate. Kazuki laughed and told MC, ha man, don't underestimate me. I like money, sure, but I don't think I'll easily be swayed by it. Kurusu, looking straight into Kazuki's eyes, told him I will tell you everything about my relationship with Enamot-Daichi. I'll reveal it all without hiding anything. If you just complete 2 missions for me, that is, at that time, please also tell me what kind of person Daikyu knew was. I just wonder what a master of manipulation Kurusu has become. He just got another fish on his hook. Kazuki, going straight to the point, asked MC, so what do you want me to investigate? And with that, keeping all that stuff secret even from us, this conversation ends, and Kurusu starts heading his way for his mission. While walking, he thinks Mr. Oga remembers me, Daichi. Even that's favorable in the process, not revealing my identity, it's just too risky. And again, he seems interested in who I am now, too. For now, I'll stick with the acquaintance story. While walking, his phone started buzzing with a call from someone. When Kurusu saw the phone screen, he found the name of Kadodigo calling him for some reason. Swallowing the anger, he picked up the call. An answer, this is Kurusu speaking. Mr. Villain, standing in front of the glass window, also replied, Kadodigo from Imperato. I'm sorry for the sudden call. Kurusu, acting courteous, replied, it's no problem. What can I do for you? Kadao, smiling, spoke, well, we are having a party with some VIP guests. Would you like to attend? Hearing his proposal, MC's eyes glint with a cold and obsidian darkness. He says to himself, it's finally here, my time of further action. Kadao further added that there's a small participation fee, but I return. There will be many influential people and contacts. Could be beneficial for your networking, Mr. Kurusu. Confirming his invitation, MC told him, please tell me the date and time. With that, the call ends there. Time skips to 2 weeks later, and we see a gathering of people from the whole country of Japan to discuss the future of the country with the Jushikai. People in that gathering were discussing and talking with each other about him. Our man, pushing by, saw 2 women wearing a kimono, saying who could that be? Maybe some company president's son. Or a political fundraising party. They're still doing it on a grand scale, just in a different form. As he was wandering here and there, someone called him from his left side, ha, Mr. Kurisu. MC, looking at his ex, asked Elle, why are you here? She looked beautiful as ever, said the owner told me to help out. Coming close, Kurisu mentioned, oh, I see, I didn't recognize you in Japanese clothing. Smiling, she spoke, I guess it doesn't suit me very well. Does it? It's difficult to wear properly. In contrast or her belief, he smiles as always and says it suits you. So much so, I'm blushing looking at you. She also blushes deeply. Hearing his comment, she thanks MC for his compliment. At the moment, he was talking with Sitomeru. Kadao comes from the back and greets him. Ha, Mr. Kurisu. Thank you for coming despite your busy schedule. Man, what a curious man he is acting to be. No doubt he is the Andrew Tate of scamming in this manga. Mac Lafton lightly calls him the owner. Kadodi, don't flatter me. Kadodi, gesturing MC to go somewhere, asked, do you have a moment? There's someone I would like you to meet. Boy. Oh boy. Guess how Kadao is calling? It's none other than the shady lower. Introducing MC to him, he said, Professor, this is Mr. Kurisu, whom I mentioned before. Our shady villain, smiling, said, so this is him. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Takura. Man, what a meetup, obviously a reunion of the century. MC, being the happiest in the room, said, pleased to meet you. I'm Kurisu. Finally, we met after so long. Kurisu met his lifelong enemies at the banquet. While he was in conversation with them, being Oscar-winning actors, they acted like the best brothers, starting to oil him. Takura explained, "Oh, so Kurisu SA is the investor from Los Angeles. I travel there often for work." One of them, looking at the other assailant's comments, "This is a good investment. President Degura, take Kurisu-san as a reference. Would you like to discuss it?" His partner, with a cunning look, spoke, "Yes, of course. It might be interesting if Kurisu-san invests too. Kurisu is now trying to be the long-lost brother from their other mother," said. "Of course, I'd love to." He also mentioned, "I sold off some of my stocks recently. I've been looking for an investment opportunity, so I think it would be a great chance for all of us." Takura, as if he had struck gold, laughed joyfully. He told Kurisu, "Bro, then Kadodi-kun will tell you about it." Kurisu, wanting to dive deeper into their relationship, asked, "What about you, President Degura?" The little bastard, coming closer to MC, said, "It'd be scary if I got caught for insider trading. Is that okay?" So, when they were talking to each other, a call came through his phone, excusing him from the crowd. He started leaving the place to take the phone call. As he left the place of the conversation, the villains looked menacing from behind him. Man, they looked like a pack of hungry wolves who had found a fat, juicy ship with a first-class stack after a long and hungry winter. MC, picking up the call, found out his informant was talking from the other side. The spy spoke, "Ha, Kurisu, this is Oga. I just got the information you needed." MC, a little bit surprised, told him that was fast. "Man?" Explaining his method of obtaining the information, he said, "I just asked the black-suited staff nicely, and they told me right away." Man, if this is the definition of asking nicely, then please ask me Ralphly, and you can even slap me if we ever meet face to face. Dear Kurisu, please forget your revenge plan if you want to leave your life without any more trauma. Anyway, Kazuki, breaking the information, informed me that Imperado's Kadodigo is dating a woman with the stage name L. Expecting this type of shock, he looked towards the banquet where his dear ex-girlfriend was standing. Kazuki adds that her real name is Sitomeru, and she's quite a woman. More precisely, she's Inomoto-kun's ex-girlfriend. Kurisu was still dazed when he found out all of his speculation was true, but, giving him no time to daydream, Kazuki relayed that there are suspicious rumors about the other owner of the store. "I will tell you when we meet." Kurisu, at this moment, stopped speaking completely, feeling his sudden silence. Kazuki asked from the other side, "Kurisu-san, can you hear me?" Kurisu dropped the call and instructed the spy, "Please continue investigating." Seeing Sitomeru's smiling face, he said, "I don't want to believe it." Leaving the place, he finally concluded that this is definitely Meru. Jumping to a few days later, at a gathering, we witness all the despicable villains conversing among themselves. At a point, the smarter one among them tossed a bunch of papers containing information about Kurisu. Indicating towards the paper, he told his partners, "I looked into Kurisu Feudo through a different channel, and here's the result I got." Takura, joining the conversation, mentioned Kurisu. "He's the one who looked like a host at the one we went to the other day, the real manly one. He's the representative of Ket's investment." The president replied, "Yes, he's a Japanese national who made a lot of money during the crypto boom." Looking at his information, Takura said that he really has money, Kadodigo confirming his hunch. "I told you, didn't I?" he even said. Even an SFT executive personally greeted him. Feeling the winner of the bet, they laugh while saying, "Looks like he was an investor in the United States until recently. I'm not familiar with anything before that." Takura asked back, "But if he fits the usual pattern, I'm in," looking through Kadodi. He questioned, "You get it, right? What I mean? Use that woman and sell the deal." Kadodi nodded affirmatively. "I know, but it's about time you increased my share." Takura, giving a amazing look, exclaimed, "What?" Kadodi, proving his point, complained that "I always bring in more profit than you two, and as always, you give me so little. I'm the one crossing the dangerous bridges, so why should I get so little?" Takura, angry, exclaimed to his fullest, "Shut up! Did you forget about that story you guys can have about what story?" Takura was pointing to. Anyway, defusing the situation, the president silences them by saying, "I get where you're coming from, Kadoti. We'll keep that in mind, so start the preparation." Understanding his advice, Go answered, "Okay. Man, why do I have the feeling that this guy is going to be the biggest obstacle in MC's revenge?" Back to the moment Kadoti angrily leaves the room, leaving them all unsatisfied. Takura angrily retorted, "He's just an ungrateful brat." The bigger villain gnawed. Kadoti's getting desperate. It looks like his spending has been rough lately. Takura spoke sense. "It's about you. I've heard some nasty rumors." Quirky like a cat, the president asks what? Skipping the conversation, we come to a nightclub, where Kurisu and Kazuki were chilling in their own environment. When one of them mentioned it was so noisy here, Kazuki told him, "See, well, the heavenly ice dealer really shows up here?" Kurisu nodded in affirmation and said, "Yeah, I worked here as a detective a long time ago." Kazuki, coming closer, mentioned there's an organization that smuggles heavenly ice. And they go by the name AZ Cartel, so they are called AZ Cartel, quite an interesting name. Kazuki also told him we need to do some research about them. The sus guy going in his flashback thinks, now that I think about it, I mentioned them to Inomoto back at the club. Feeling sorry, he clutched his glass and said, "Ku will avenge his enemies in his place." MC affirmed, saying, "You're right, we will avenge Daichi." Kurisu adds, "I asked my friends, but no one's really sure about Impeder's sales. There are months when sales increase regularly by hundreds of millions. It's a profitable store, but its box size is unusual. It reads like a story of some criminal group. It's also being used for money laundering." Kazuki comments that cabaret and host clubs are perfect for that. There's evidence that Go was involved in moving heavenly ice. MC determined to himself, "I'll follow the money flow and track every last one of them." Go, you wait. I'll strip you of your filthy money and status first. Kurisu also relayed that, and to do that, along with him inviting the heavenly ice, I'll need a partner, someone tough and skilled who can use violence. And someone who can manage an organization. As Kurisu was deep in his revenge arc, in a thoughtful frame of mind, two girls approached him, asking him to flirt with them, and inquired, "Brother, do you like a drink?" Kurisu, confused, asked what oolong tea was. Giving a flirtatious look, they said, "What is oolong tea? Take it from my hand, and when you drink it, only then will you know about its work." Coaxing him more, they spoke, "You are so cool, brother. Let me buy you something. Hold on." Seeing their bold and provocative approach to Kurisu, Kazuki was growing increasingly angry beyond his limit. And as expected, he was unable to hold on anymore. He exclaimed, "You're no good uglies. We're doing serious business here. So, get the hell out of here. He can be scary when needed, I can assure you." Leaving the place, the girls conversed among each other about what's with that uncle. He's creepy. Fuming in anger, Kazuki told me, "Those stupid girls are up to their usual business when they see a new guy." MC, being grateful for his earlier help, thanked him, "Man, you just saved me. But you didn't have to yell at them." Kazuki, being an expert in this sort of situation, advised that you need to speak your mind to a woman like that. They will get carried away. As they were talking among themselves from far away, two men were keeping an eye on them. A shady guy who wears shady sunglasses at night and also does shady work, leaving calls for his boss to relay the information on the current situation. In the call, he told his boss, "Yes, there's a guy with OGA now." The other person received his message and said, "Got it. We'll keep an eye on them." Zooming in, we see a person lying in a fighting ring. His subordinate tells him, "Luigi Kuin, I just got a call from you, Paradisus. There's a man who looks like a host with Aldman OGA." Sitting him in his place, he gave a menacing look and ordered his men, a guy who looked like a host hanging around with the old dude from OGA, "Call him here, man." Not going to lie, that was a wholesome gangster first look. As Kazuki and Kurisu were walking, a man in a suit approached them and bowed, offering them a farewell. Kurusu, frustrated, spoke as I thought another dead end. Kazuki, consoling him, commented that there was still a lot of mystery surrounding how Heaven's Ice was being sold. Even back when I was still an ACOP, I couldn't get a solid lead on it. Kazuki again suggests these kinds of things, you just have to dig slow and study. He put a hand on Kurisu's shoulder and told him, "How about it? Want to grab a drink together after this?" MC, leaving Kazuki's suggestion in the trash, started to leave. While leaving, he comments, "If you find anything, give me a call." Kazuki, looking from the back, thinks that cold attitude of his, "Damn it, he is so cool, just to let you know," he said some other love-struck stuff towards Kurisu, "but I just made some adjustments so that you don't get constipated after hearing those." Walking on the roadside side, MC ponders, if we can't get any info on the drug itself, then the only way is to go deeper into that lounge. As if MC was going into a wedding event, suddenly from nowhere some unwanted friends of him, which even he doesn't knows, came near him, surrounding the path in order to join him and freeload in the event. Okay, enough with the jock coming closer to him, they suggested he get into the car. Following them without any argument, MC arrived at their hideout. At the moment, MC set a face-to-face with the now active boss. MC, showing no sign of fear, comments, "From what I can see, no one here looks like a drug addict." The guys were a little taken aback seeing his brash comment. MC adds, "They say dealers don't touch their own stuff anyway." After MC's turn, the guy sitting in front of him asked his question, "What were you doing at the club?" Kurisu answers, "I was looking for someone." The shady guy again spoke, "The guy you were with, he's a former cop, isn't he? Why are you teaming up with him?" Kurisu, straight as always, replied, "Like I said, I'm looking for someone." The guy, when he didn't get his answer, thinking he was the big dog, came forward to punch MC, while exclaiming, "Don't make me repeat myself, just answer what I ask." Kurisu, showing him who the real boss in the room was, caught his punch in midair, shocking the guy shocked by the situation. MC, reiterating his interest, told them, "I came here to talk. That's all." Kurisu asked boldly, "Are you guys with the AZ cartel?" I thought it would make some sense. What was I expecting? Breaking all my expectations, the guy shouts, "The hell did you say? Don't lump us in with low-life drug dealers." MC, reading the room, he realized, "I thought I'd get a lead on the cartel by following you. Guess I was wrong." MC commented, "If you are not them, I've got no reason to stick around." The guy, being smug as always, exclaimed, "Where are you leaving now? We're not done with you yet." As he tries to hit MC, he ducks under him and gives a straight jab at his abdomen, making him fall flat on the floor. His goons tried to retaliate, but MC, being the jigachad, starts beating them all one by one. After getting beaten, one of them comments, "Man, he is strong. I think this guy is really not just some host." MC, giving his crew a soul-chilling look, asked them, "You still want to go?" The gangsters humiliated and cursed him from their guts. "You bastard." The previous tough guy ordered his minions to bring the gear. He also reminded them to surround him and beat him down. As it locked like that, things were going to get really ugly in here. The real boss of here came from the shadows and ordered them to stop. "Stop right now, sunt embarrass yourselves like that." Coming closer to MC, he revealed his face, and while looking at MC, he commented, "You've gotten stronger." MC, surprised and shocked at the same time, exclaimed, "Ruiji Bamba, why are you here?" Ruiji saw MC, recognized him. He told Kurisu, "So you remember me? Hard to forget the guy who beat the crap out of you in prison." "Huh?" MC spoke, "Now that I remember, Takahashi Haruki, you're talking about back then, right?" The underlinks, furious, shouted, "You're finished now." He thought, "At this rate, it looks like I won't be able to escape now." Ruiji, getting ready for a great fight, told MC, "The others are all down to you are not walking away for free." Kurisu, opening his SUT, spoke, "I was also beaten badly at that time. Back then, I was just Enamot-Daichi, and you beat me to a pulp. Ever since that day, I've been training like hell for this day." Revealing his dangerous look, he stunned the onlookers. They commented, "What's with those arms?" Inomoto Kurisu reminded him again, "I'm not the same guy I was back then. I changed after being reborn. And this is my revenge match." His goons to kill him, Ruiji finished him off. Ruiji, acting like the true strong man, ordered them, "Don't touch him, you guys stay out of this. Leave this fight to me." Man, it looks like this fighting revenge shit is about to go hard. Stay tuned to get tuned next part. Man, as we were expecting a thrilling fight, they just spilled water in the build-up suspension. Ruiji gestured MC to hold his fighting stance, because he wanted to go into the fighting cage. MC being MC replied, "No problem, let's do this." Inside the cage, they stood in front of each other, face to face, man to man. People from outside the cage kept shouting, "Don't let him get away. Kill him. Wreck him." Hell, one guy even showed him the international super-friendly gesture. Kurisu calmly observed the situation and concluded that they wouldn't let me go even if I won. But I wanted to know how much stronger I had gotten. Ruiji explained, "I'll fight you myself. If you lose, you'll be our slave." And with that, everyone starts chanting, "Slave, a slave." MC does not have any hard feelings toward their chanting. Ask Ruiji, "Then can you clear it up? What if I win, you're my slave?" And with that, taunt of Kurisu, Ruiji starts the fight with a banger punch, and the crowd uproars in the ring area. Man, if making the video I was caught in thinking who Ruiji is fighting, Enamoto or Hiroki Kurisu. I guess he is fighting Kurisu because they had a fight in the past before the facial changing surgery arc, and no way he knows this, his Enamot-Daichi in disguise. Anyway, seeing the incoming fist, Kurisu was a little surprised. But MC now turned into a Chad, ducks from the punch and dodges the punch and gives Ruiji a sharp uppercut to the chin. And trying to cause a big damage to Ruiji, MC kept throwing sharp jabs over and over again. But Ruiji just kept shielding himself with his hands. After the sharp confrontation, it looked like smoke was coming out of Ruiji's hands. Man, MC surely had become a hot stuff. No wonder he can make smoke without any fire. On the other hand, Ruiji, acting like a rhinoceros, took all that attack from MC and still smartly taunted him by saying, "Is that all you got?" MC looked a little gasped out after all that energy burn. But Ruiji, at that brief moment activating his inner Dragon Ball aura, rushed towards Kurisu with a super heavy uppercut. Hell man. MC even got hit by a big punch to his face, and as a result he coughed a mouthful of fresh, juicy red catsup. Gaining his footholds, he commented, "That was close. He would have hit me in the face if I hadn't turned." As he was thinking in the middle of the battle, Ruiji came from the backside of him, and in that position he made a choke hold on Kurisu's neck. People watching from the outside commented, "He is done." Even Ruiji asked MC, "What will you do now?" Enamot-Daichi, zooming back to the past, thought, "He had me like this back then, too." Ruiji, seeing MC trying to get out of his hold, told him, "Nope, no way, you can't do it with one hand." But proving his assumptions wrong, MC flicks Ruiji's fingernail and gets out of the deadly choke hold. And bam, he gives a haymaker hard uppercut with his head. People were shocked seeing MC break out from Ruiji's choke. They were shocked and surprised at the same time. They kept thinking if someone could actually do that to Ruiji. Someone comments on where he was till this day. Again, MC gave a killer look to Ruiji. Mr. Villain, impressed seeing Kurisu's combat prowess, said, "Looks like you have learned a lot since then?" MC replied, "Yes, a little in America." Now from nowhere Ruiji bowed down to MC, making him a little shocked. Ruiji asks you, "What was the first thing you did after getting out?" MC answered, "Visited the grave of my dead mothers." Ruiji, thinking deeply about his character, sighs and dismisses the fight, saying, "My nails hurt. That's enough for today?" Man, MC, just like us, was surprised when he said the situation was turning in his favor. While leaving the cage, Ruiji made a shocking comment that "My junior made fun of your parents back then." Sorry about that. MC got even dazed thinking about his comment. Ruiji also adds that choke earlier, "Hope it didn't mess up your face." Man, now that I think, I guess Ruiji somehow came to know that it was not Kurisu but Enamot-Daichi, and with that, the fighting drama came to an end. Next, MC was in his apartment opening his secret safe. While doing that, he instructed his Takeo to look into the management of Bunga's gym and club. He replied in the affirmative. But when he asked Kurisu what he was doing now, MC said, "I want to meet that person tomorrow." Even he was surprised hearing about that person. Kurisu at that time pulled up a stack lot of money and made a catch that money only has meaning when you spend it, and with that I'll swallow them whole gang with the help of this. Man, that bastard even got a stack of gold bars just lying in there. I bet it's more than you can have in your wet dreams. In the next scene, we see Ryuji eating foods filled with protein like there's no tomorrow. His subordinates kept warning him, "Ryuji-kun, you should not eat the raw protein powder. It isn't protein supposed to be mixed with water and drunk afterwards?" Cleaning his mouth, he answered, "It's too much hassle." Man, I swear he was a hardcore otaku in a past life. That's why he is so lazy, just like you guys watching RecaP all day and not even cleaning your stuff. A subordinate coming from the back smiled and presented Ryuji with an energy drink bottle, which Ryuji found to be convenient. So, as that stuff was going on, two of Ryuji's men stopped MC at the gate while exclaiming, "Why the hell? What did you come here for?" Ryuji, confused, asked, "Hey, what's wrong? What is going on over there?" But making the scene clear, Kurisu entered through the front gate with a bag in his hand. Man, this bastard is still doing aura farming even while entering the place. Ryuji, getting up from his place, questioned MC, "Did you come for revenge?" As an answer, MC replied, "Your words from before stuck with me. At that time, it was bad to mock my junior about their parents. I hope the choke earlier didn't mess up the skin on your face." A fiend asked if I wanted to meet someone inside the wall, and it became clear who I am. And again, you heard everything from that Kamishiro guy, didn't you? Agreeing to his speculation, he said, "Honestly, I thought that old man's stories were just nonsense until I fought with you." Kurisu, standing in front of Ryuji, asked, "When did you figure it out?" Ryuji tells him you can tell someone's true nature by fighting them, if they're human or not. Well, I guess that's a good explanation for today. When I will meet someone unknown, I will invite them to have a fighting competition. The reason I want to beat them, no, that's the wrong word. I just want to know them better and make friends with them. You know what I meant to say, right? Anyway, Kurisu, now putting a stack of bills in front of the whole gang, explained the drug matter, "The drug organization you are up against, I'm chasing them too." Ryuji, confused, asked, "This stack of cash, what's the intention?" MC reminded them of a saying, "The enemy of my enemy is my ally," and that's the deal. Giving a deadly glare, he speaks, "So from now I want to make a contract with you guys. So keep that money?" Hearing his antics, Ryuji was a little bit taken aback. But Ryuji poured a glass of drink and started to gulp it down while MC mentioned, "I don't drink." But Ryuji insisted he drank because it's a substitute for a sworn shake-up. MC, looking at the raised cup, sighed and exclaimed, "Old-fashioned, quite traditional of you to make an agreement. Huh." And with that comment, he gulped the whole drink. Ryuji, feeling the full vibe of brotherhood, extended his hand in a goodwill gesture. He mentioned that if you betray us, I'll kill you. But MC in that time commenting on some cheesy 90s Hollywood movie, "I'm already a dead man, so I won't ever betray my comrades." Man, not gonna lie, that handshake just by looking at it seems to be stronger than the bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. The next scene shifts to the apartment of Katiko, where he is being scolded by a big shot named Owner S.A. That guy exclaims, "Sir, it's a big amount, just give me a bit more time." The bossy guy explained, "Is it okay if we come to the shop to collect the money?" I bet the girls would be shocked, wouldn't they? Katik kept requesting them sincerely, "Please don't do that. I'll definitely pay back in 2 weeks." Hearing a satisfying answer, the guy replied, "I'm counting on you." He added, "If you are even a day late, we'll go to the shop." Katik threw his phone in anger while cursing them, "Damn you, dirty loan shark." Frustrated, he kept thinking, how did it come to this? Recalling his past doing, he starts to piece it all together. Firstly, women in the car, drugs and gambling. I was just enjoying myself. But from now, if this goes on, I'll lose everything. Somehow I have to make money. Boys, just look at the desperate face he is making now. That's why you have to learn money management from the beginning of your career. Well, Kurisu, as if he was telepathically connected with Katik's bad time, at that desperate moment, he calls him for a private discussion. Katik, being a good actor, acts all gentlemanly and kind towards Kurisu, greets him politely. Kurisu, standing from his place, mentioned, "Actually, I have a consultation," and with that desire of his, he opened the bag that he was now carrying, and surprise, it had the life-saving essence that Katikuwas was looking for, money, and a lot of it. MC expresses his intention, spoke, "I want to entrust this money to you. And with that, the bait was set for the fish named Cadet to bite. Well, to be honest, the bait was successful. Basically, you can tell that just by looking at Kadodigo's face. Guo, being the greedy person he is, inwardly thinks to himself, this stack of bills. There's at least 100 million in here. Gu, getting his mind back from the river of greed, asked, "Hey, Mr. Karisu, what is this?" MC, being a better actor than everyone, just acts nonchalant, as if it's nothing to be surprised by. He answers, "This is obviously my money, which I want you to keep in safekeeping." Well, just like every sucker crazed over money, Gu also gets a little confused seeing all that money at once. He mentioned that even if you say that it's yours. Thinking again, "Are you sure you are not making a mistake by thinking this place for a bank?" Karisu kindly answered, as a fellow business owner, "You'd understand what I'm trying to do, right?" MC, looking deep into Kadet's soul, said, "Sometimes you have money you can't show publicly, isn't it?" Well, I think just now I'm in that sort of situation with this money. Outwardly, he answers in the affirmative, "I see what you mean to say," but inwardly, he thought, this guy, does he know something about this shop's role? Gu, breaking from his dazed state, questioned, "I sympathize with your situation, but why here?" MC stayed ever mysterious and lightly smiled while looking at Go. He told him that he had heard a rumor that this shop takes in tainted money, cleans it, and returns it without any corruption to its owner. Kadodi Gu, trying to clear the misunderstanding that Karisu has towards this shop's comments. "Sir, we're not a corrupt cabaret club. We have accountants and do everything properly. So please don't tease me, Karisu-sama. And why not stop with those stories and call the ladies to have fun?" Karisu, controlling his needs, denied Gu's approach. "No, that's all for today, excuse me." And after showing that temptation with all those juicy stacks of bills, he leaves the place. But as he starts to leave, Kadodi Gu just looks at the bag in an addictive state, just like a dog looks toward a drumstick. The scene shifts to the gathering of Kadoti Gu and his villain friends, where Dagura threw a glass of wine in Gu's head, which in impact broke apart. He shouted at him, "Damn you!" Drenching in wine, Cadet commented that these clots were expensive, though. Dagura, coming closer, caught his collar and exclaimed, "Who cares about clothes? First, confirm that you didn't say anything unnecessary to that Karisu guy?" Gu answered in the affirmative. "Of course I didn't, but I saw the actual cash with my own eyes, and I'm pretty sure he's trying to launder money." Now, our smart-ass lawyer guy opens his mouth, says, "It's awfully suspicious. That man Karisu should undergo a proper background check." And after his suggestion, he brings his phone out of his pocket and contacts a professional to better investigate him. He advised 2 of them until the investigation is finished and the results are out. Do not contact him. Kadodi Gu, furious and frustrated for money, exclaimed, "Why's that? He's a perfect party. That guy is my solution for all my problems." As he was debating the decision, Dagers says to him, "Gu, you owe some money, right? The info's out. It's also well known that you're borrowing from shady folks." Gu, denying the acquisition, spoke, "No, that's a rumor spread by someone who envied me." Trying to get out of this sticky situation, he quickly excused himself, saying he had some work in his shop. As he left like a mouse from the gathering, 2 of his partners looked disapprovingly towards his leaving figure. They commented that this guy he just forgotten who helped him get where he is today. And who knows, we might need to deal with that soon. Inside the red car, Kadodi Gu was cursing his luck because of the situation, and when he remembered the threat from the debt collector, he lost his mind while thinking about how to finish the debt. On the other side, Teiko exclaimed with joy. He told him, "See, oh, things seem to be going smoothly." Karisu replied, "Yeah. I sprinkled plenty of seeds when I showed him a large sum and hinted at money laundering." His eyes instantly changed color. "At this point, if he goes after my money, there's bound to be an opening." Teiko, joyfully waving the victory flag, says he, just as Feudo-kun predicted. Karisu, also feeling the joyful atmosphere in the air, smiled lightly and explained, "Now we just wait to reap what we've sown." At that moment, As they were talking with each other, a message came through from his ex-lover, greeting him good evening. She also invited him to dinner together. MC, reading her message, felt in a deep contemplation on what to do in this situation. Touching his neck marks, he came to a conclusion first. Specifically, I have to settle one thing and need to settle things from 5 years ago. After a day, two of them were sitting in a luxurious restaurant. Sitomeru, blushing, looks towards MC and thanked him for making time to meet her. She added, even though you're busy with work, Fuito-san, you made it in time. Kurisu, smiling, replied, I'm happy L-san invited me too. Meru's feeling nostalgic, relayed her feelings, that somehow I don't feel like I'm meeting Fuito-san for the first time. I just feel calm when I see you. After he heard her comment, Kurisu fell into a trance in his thinking, but for the second time when she called him, he called her back. Ha L-san, may I ask you something? Meru, looking ever so cute, said ask me anything whatever your heart desires. Catching her off guard, he said you're dating the owner, right? She, now getting her senses back, spoke, what's wrong all of a sudden? Why are you asking this? Kurisu, not giving her a satisfying answer, added his further advice, I think you'd be better off breaking up with that man. Looking down, she asked seriously, what's the matter? Did something happen between you and the owner? I heard you two were talking together the other day. Curious, with a longing voice, calls her L-san. No, Sitomeru, have I said you my real name? Meru, I have a secret to reveal. Can you please look at this? Pointing at his birthmark or mole, whatever that is, he asked her, did you remember anything? She was more than shocked. Seeing the marks, she exclaimed, that why is it here? Who are you? Taking her trembling hands, he explained, it's me, Daichi, your Enamot-Daichi. Man, what's up with the author? He just keeps adding unforgettable scenes that are masterpieces. This manga is just cinema. Sitomeru, witnessing the return of Enamot-Daichi, gets emotional and shocked at the same time. At that time, she felt like her senses were fooling her. So, denying Kurisu's claim to be Enomoto, she started to question, that mole was Daichi's trademark? Who are you? You aren't Daichi? She also adds, but your voice, it's really similar, though. Are you a relative of Daichi? And are you being deceived by him? And that's why you approached me? Daichi, in order to correct all of her doubts, mentioned the cinema and the chateau in Roppongi, which was our first date spot. We watched an insane horror film. Just look at the couple stuck to each other. I bet most of you will fail to feel the same feelings if you just keep watching Manhwa RecaP's videos, guys. Short note. If you have noticed, this manga has the full guidelines to change your life. Follow the steps of Enomoto if you really want to change. Anyway, back to the story. Kurisu adds, you were so scared. Remember, on the way back, we went for Italian food. I was short on money, so you paid a little. I guess his dart was spot on. After that, she remembers their time together, and she emotionally started crying and, while touching his face, asked, are you really my Daichi? Why do you look like that? Didn't you die in prison? Consoling her, he said it's a long story, a very long one. As he was saying this to Meru, his eyes got bigger in anger as if something struck his nerves. Meru, seeing the visible change in his facial expression, asked what happened, what are you thinking about? Daichi, at that time, suddenly grabbed her hand and started inspecting, but to his shock, when he unveiled her hand, what he saw left him shocked, because there were visible needle marks. These were undoubtedly signs of having too much good stuff. Kurisu exclaimed, you have this mark too? That means you're also having the heavenly ice? She squints in shock, hearing his sudden question. MC, comforting her, asks her to speak. She, now being traumatized, told him, I was told it was just a supplement and was forced to take it. Even the injections were forced. Angry, seeing the love of his life in this state, he shouted this was Gu's doing. Wasn't it? Meru, recalling the past, said, I heard Daichi died in prison. At that time, I wanted to give up on everything, so this path didn't look so harsh to me. Man, you can say this girl was really dedicated to him at that time. Daichi, hearing her heart-wrenching confession, consoles her. You don't have to say more. I'm the one who put you through hell.
I'm sorry, Meru.
He adds, I never imagined Gu would go that far with Daichi. Meru was also a little taken aback hearing his explanation. Well, he would do anything for his gain. This time too, you came here because he told you to trick Kurisu, right? She looked downwards, confirming his suspicion. Angry beyond imagination, Kurisu gave a menacing look and said, I came back from hell just to fulfill my purpose. Ha, my guy, I'm sure you came from hell, and I also remember that there was a type of demon that had 3 legs, and the specialty of that demon was that he always tried to use his 3rd leg whenever he saw an opening or someone picking the soap. Man, the poor sinners, their life is surely terrifyingly bad over there. So, Mr. Kurisu, please kindly try to skip this topic in the future. Sitomeru, looking timid as ever, says, You intend to get revenge on Gu, don't you? Well, at this time, revenge is too little for that guy named Gu. If there is somewhere more terrible than hell, then he should be the first visitor to visit that place. Kurisu, for the last time acting as Enamot-Daichi, stood from his place, advised Meru that from now you should quit taking the good stuff, and don't forget Enamot-Daichi, he's dead, he's no longer relevant. And with that, the meeting of those 2 lovebirds concluded. Coming to the next part, we see Gu talking on the phone. From the other side, Kurisu thanked Gu because he agreed to take care of the money. That saved me a big time. Gu, acting to be the good brother Kurisu never had, says that's because Kurisu-sama is a special client, and I will handle it personally. Our Chad MC called him to come to his place and pick it up, because it's cash and a huge amount. Kadit, agreeing, said, of course, if you give me your address, I can come by tonight. After that call ends, he starts laughing menacingly, saying, You bastard Takura, I'll prove I can handle this alone. And with the intention of receiving money from Kurisu, he starts to arrive at the desired place of meeting. Driving the car, he commended Meru, you need to cozy up to him, shower him with compliments, and keep touching him casually. As he was saying all those nonsensical things, Sitomeru kept looking outward, thinking while diving into her own ocean of thoughts. Katagu remembers the past conversation with Kurisu and his laundering mentality, so he started smiling smugly, thinking he had caught the right fish, but unknown to him, he was the real fish or prey in this case. Well, our smartass goldfish makes a mental plan in his mind, thinking Kurisu made that cash through tax evasion, and somehow he needed to find out how that money was made. And once I received the money, Kurisu, don't ever think about taking the money back. After that part, I will start to blackmail him until every drop is squeezed out. Man, just look at his greedy face. He looks as if he is going through a constipation problem just by thinking about that big sum of money. Boys, greed will eventually lead you to the path of constipation. Just look at him and you will understand me. So listen to my advice, be a monk, and keep watching my recaps non-stop so I can earn more money. Arriving at the desired spot, he was a little surprised because he remembered it to be his prior working place. Nervously, he exclaimed, what a nasty coincidence. I just remembered his face. Just guess who he was thinking about in his mind at that time. Anyway, when they reached inside that place, our boy Kurisu was farming his Sigma aura just by sitting there. On arrival, he greeted them, sorry for troubling you. And, by the way, Elsan, you came along too? What a delightful moment it is for me. Gu, with his fake influencer persona, smiled and mentioned, since you happen to be here after the deal, I thought we might have a meal together. After some chit-chat, Gu directly asked MC, so, Mr. Kurisu, where's the goods? MC now opened the bag and showed him the 100 million yen. And just by looking at the money, you can see he is making the face gesture as if he is in a self-pleasuring state. Well, what can I say? A mother sucker like him can have fetish like that. It's nothing to be disgusted by. Well, guess what he says after seeing the bag of money? Thanks for your trust in me. No, he questioned, is that all of it, or is there some left? Man, his greed surely knows no bounds. I can tell you that. Katagu adds about that amount. Should we make the transition now? Before he could finish his bentering, MC spoke. My thinking changed a bit. I've only just met you, so I feel uneasy entrusting a huge sum to you, so changing the plan a little bit. Could you hold just 10 million for now? Cadet, making a disappointing face, told MC. Such pocket change won't do. I'm taking a risk holding the money too. That's why I need a more substantial amount. MC at that point asked him, how much would you be willing to deposit? The money-hungry goldfish, pointing towards the money, said, honestly, I'd need at least 200 million yen, but minimum 100 million at the very least would do for now. Kurisu, making no resistance, said, then let's do this as collateral for the deposit. But before that, could you tell me one of your secrets? This request of Kurisu's got Gu a little off guard. He asks a secret. You say, what could it be? Kurisu, breaking the tense moment, mentioned, for example, for 10 million yen, teach me money laundering methods. Cadet, acting like a true professional, exclaimed Kurisu-sama, you're heartless. Now denying having those types of skills, he said, even if I had known those types of skills, you can't expect to learn something that important for only 10 million yen, right? He scoffs and adds, and what are you going to do after that? Because I don't have any secrets worth 200 million yen. MC says that his claim of not having any secrets is a lie. He said that he wanted to talk about old times and specifically about one night 5 years ago. Shocked, he asked, 5 years ago, what are you referring to? MC, offering a glass of alcohol to calm his mind, said let's drink first and then start our talking session. With that intention, he opened a box which carried a bottle of premium wine they were to have. But surprise, the drink that Kurisu presented was a little bit too familiar to Kateku. Looking at his face, you can tell the bottle struck a nerve that was hidden from everyone. He thought to himself, Armando? Why bring that up now? While pouring the drink in the glass, Kurisu kept saying someone who liked the color, remembered the company's CEO or something. Back then, he drank Armando Gold. Kurisu adds, one night 5 years ago you had a secret meeting with President Degura and lawyer Habasaki in this room, about in exchange for depositing 200 million, you'll tell me what happened here that night. Kadoti was shocked, more than surprised, at this unusual request. Mr. Kurisu, what are you suddenly talking about? Not giving him the desired answer, MC offers Gu to have some more of this delightful alcohol. But Cadet, now thinking with his brain, denies his offer. Well, as if this much shock wasn't already enough for Gu, MC adds more spice to the moment by offering Gu a soft drink. And guess what? Just like us, Cadet also recognized the drink. Yes, the same one that he gave Enomoto back in the day. His face became pale in sudden shock and fear. Calming his mind down, he said, I just remember I'm cutting down on caffeine too. Man, just imagine what his current state is like. It's just like if someone were getting married and he was going to finish the part of taking the oath, but all of a sudden his 5 girlfriends come at once while shouting a recollection of his past deeds. Anyway, laughing nervously, he mentioned, about that story from 5 years ago, I really don't think I remember it properly. MC, not getting his desired answer, plans to increase the stacks of their cat and mouse game, adding 200 million more, making it 300 million for Cat's secret. The greedy succubus at that moment was finding it very hard to deny the temptation. He, in frustration, asked MC, what are you talking about? Kurisu, making the situation clear, said that he wanted to know on that date who really killed Tanaka Sayaka. Kateku, biting his tongue in shock, kept murmuring, what? Who's that? Just look at that face of his. I bet people make the same face when someone gets caught for the first time during a private gaming session with their pet. Kurisu, not having his bullshit explanation, tossed some pictures on the desk, pointing towards them. He says, don't act like you don't know. Back then this was a wine bar called Pharaoh. In there, you, a guy named Enamot-Daichi, and this girl Tanaka were work colleagues. Cadet, seeing no way out, exclaimed Enomoto was the real killer, and he even confessed when police caught him. Kurisu, frowning, said tell the truth, now giving a fearful look, exclaimed you're lying, because the night she died in the hotel, you were secretly meeting with Degura and Habasaki here. Stuttering with his words, he kept saying I'm telling you, I don't remember the event of that day, and again this was also the testimony from Katsushige Matsumoto, the manager back then. Kadoti, being decisive, slammed his hand on the table and shouted, "What does this stuff have to do with me getting the money? So stop making weird assumptions." Kurisu makes his thoughts public, tells Gu that I can't give you the money if you keep acting innocent. Kadit, squinting in shocked realization, asks Ha, "What do you want to do after you know this information?" MC answered, "I can't tell you that." Gu, after seeing there is no way he is getting out of this sticky situation, excuses for some time in order to think and have a smoke. Arriving in the smoking place, he starts cursing his luck. He kept thinking, damn, what is his intention? Does he want to give it to the media or to Enomoto's friends? In that moment, he sees the message from the debt collectors. Feeling the danger if he doesn't clear the debt, he makes a solid decision to have that money anyway. He adds, "As I thought, I need to take him down on my own. And side note, just to have a clear mind while doing the most unholy works." Possibly in the most holy way, he added some good stuff for his prayer ceremony. Boys, in the Gen Z era, that's how you describe someone when he is clearly addicted. In Kurisu's place, Meru glanced at MC and made a mental note that gentle Daichi looks like a different person. She adds he was stubborn, but he always cared about the people around him. Meru suddenly called Enomoto, "Forget about revenge. Can't we start over?" But our Chad MC, now dead set on taking his revenge, broke all her fantasy expectations. He clearly stated, "Meru, I told you Enamot-Daichi is dead." She hears his answer, starts to leave while thinking, "I just knew Daichi has no feelings for me anymore. He wants revenge more than he wants me. So goodbye, my love." Oh boy, it's really hard to make a woman understand your feelings just with words, especially if she has been corrupted by your friend for the past 5 years. What can I say? Daichi is unlucky in this case. Walking by the corridor, she recalls that people change when they have money. Gu was really kind in the beginning, but he suddenly dropped out of university. After that, he entered the night world and started spending money recklessly. He changed. Coming to Gu, it looked like his body was still in the country of Japan, but his mind was in Jamaica. Meru, seeing Gu in this happy state, approached him with a greedy mind. She called him, "Gu, give me some," but Gu started to shush her out, telling her to do this stuff later. Zooming to the past events of Meru's life, she narrates that Gu got me hooked on the good stuff. When he injected me forcibly after a while, I felt like I couldn't live without it. And if Daichi hadn't been caught, this wouldn't have happened. So the reason I became addicted and like this is Daichi's fault. Well, that is the best reasoning you can hear from an addict. If you think she was done, get ready for her next line. She looked at the mirror while making the most psychopathic face. She spoke, "Kadit, do you really want to know Fuyuto's true identity?" But before we could know if she really told Gu everything or not, the scene shifts to a few moments later, where Kurisu was sitting while waiting for Kadoti, but from nowhere, Meru came running. She exclaimed, "It's bad. 'Cause when I went to call Gu, who hadn't come back, I found him in the bathroom. He was not in a very good state." Meru brought Kurisu into the bathroom, pointed towards the outwardly portrayed clothes that were coming out of the door crack. Clearly looked like Gu's. Meru, looking there, said inside the stall, "Please look there." But when Kurisu looked, there was no one there. And to his shock, when he tried to open the door, someone locked the door from the outside. No matter how much he tried, it wouldn't open. And guess who locked the door? It was Meru. MC, from inside, kept asking what she was doing, as he was calling her. Suddenly, he smelled a strong scent of gasoline, and the arsonist was none other than Kadoti Gu. Gu in here while doing his work, comments just like I thought, "I can't believe Daichi's still alive." He called Daichi from outside. "Hey, Daichi, you're Daichi, aren't you? Too bad for you. Who would have thought you'd die twice?" Gu, not even thinking for a second, tossed the lighter in the gasoline, and when the fire kept rising, he made a grand winning pose as if he was the real boss in this game of life and death. He exclaimed, "I'm taking all the money and I'll put it to good use, trust me." Meru, in that moment, gave a petty look towards MC and commented, "Sorry about this, Daichi." With that short call and last word, the new despicable couple starts to leave, leaving Kurisu to burn in the fire of nature and heart. Man, this was totally unexpected. What a thriller that was. This manga never disappoints me. And what can I say? Time changes everything. Even the person you think most trustworthy can be drastically changed from heart and mind. Even the love of your life might betray you due to circumstances. So keep tuned to see what happens in this situation. And to show your support, don't forget to subscribe. The despicable couple, thinking they have won the gambling of the century, starts celebrating while walking through the corridor. Laughing Cadet exclaimed, "Hee, even after paying back the loan sharks, we will still have 200 million left." Joining the moment, Meru mentioned, "I want to go to Dubai." "Yes, girl, you deserve a trip for sure. You earned it fair and square. Congrats on your successful betrayal." Gu, adding a little sarcasm in the conversation, says, "Oh, let's go first class. But first, let's hit a hot spring until the good stuff wears off." But Karisu, pissing on their wishful thinking, prepared a special gift for them. As a result, when they arrived outside the building, MC's men were waiting for them, obviously to greet them wholeheartedly. Gu, shocked, seeing the great hospitality, exclaimed, "What the hell? Who the hell are you guys?" Ruiji, getting out of the vehicle, commended, "Get in, both of you." And even being in a climactic state, Gu knew that shit was about to go down. He even started using his brain for a moment, because being blindfolded, he kept asking, "You're here to collect the money, right? We've got it ready. Look, right here." Arriving at their desired place, Ruiji ordered both of them to kneel, and when they did, their blindfolds were opened to see the beautiful face of their arch-lover. Guess who it was? None other than your boy, Mr. Karisu, well and alive. MC, looking down towards them, says, "Surprise, surprise. Guess what? The king is back. Shocked, aren't you?" Kadoti, seeing MC alive, was out of his mind. He exclaimed, "How did you survive?" Well, looking at his face, you can tell that his facial gesture is quite normal for the situation. But what's up with Meru? Why does it feel like she is drained out or malnourished? It feels like the situation if someone had a long all-nighter cardio session with her husband. But when she woke up in the morning, it turned out to be the overweight next-door otaku neighbor. You know what it means. Anyway, Karisu, going back to the flashback, mentioned, "If you are wondering how I am alive, the answer is that my friends saved me. Nothing out of the ordinary." And after him, Ruiji, spreading the salt in the fresh wound, said, "After the rescue, the fire spread quite a bit to the upper floors. And unfortunately for you, the camera we planted caught you too, spreading gasoline. Clear as day. And that's arson for an occupied building, you know?" Karisu grimly told them the sentence is 5 years or more in prison, or possibly even the death penalty. He added, "I could understand him, but I can't believe even you tried to kill me." Meru's now feeling the anger of Karisu towards her. She instantly changed her color like a chameleon. Now looking towards Kadoti Gu, she starts blaming him. She exclaimed, "Gu, don't mess with me." She added, "I didn't want to. He forced me. It's all his fault." Gu, denying the accusation, said, "You're the one who came up with the idea." Meru, when she saw her bluff was getting exposed, she started shouting frantically, "Don't lie, you liar. Help. Please help me. Karisu-sama." MC, tired of their behavior, ordered, "Just shut up already. Enough of this acting." But Meru, clearly not hearing his command, starts rubbing her face with his legs. "Daichi, please. I still love you. Let's start over. And I'll do anything. I'll make you happy. Please, Daichi." Wow, that pleading look was quite intense, girl. "Even if everyone doesn't believe you, I still believe you and what you said, because we are both high. You are in good stuff, and me in sleep deprivation. An addict must believe another addict. That's the universal law of the manga world." Well, bad luck for her. Karisu, unlike me, wasn't high and had a clear conscience. With a deadly glare, he spoke, "I told you more than once. Enamot-Daichi is dead." And with this declaration of his, he destroyed all of her fantasy thinking. Getting up from his place, he ordered his men to take off Gu's handcuffs. And after that, he starts removing his suit in order to settle things between them. Kadoti Gu, now uncuffed, starts pissing his pants just by hearing MC's intention. Fearfully, he asks, "What do you mean by settling debt?" Karisu makes it clear to him. He explained, "You go one-on-one with me, and if you win, you can have the money. Karisu, going back to the flashback, mentioned, the dead Enamot-Daichi kept thinking about one thing in the prison. And it's about the guy who set him up. So now I'm gonna beat the crap out of him with my own hands. As per his wish, the basement lights are turned on, making it a makeshift fighting arena. Karisu, feeling the vibe in the air, explained, so now it's just the two of us. With a big crowd watching, you'd get too unsettled anyway, right? Making his offer again, he reminded them, win against me, and I won't let them beat you to a pulp. But if you fail to beat me, ruin awaits you. Raising his fighting guard, he told him, be serious about this. And with that, their fight starts with Karisu punching Gu in the face. Kadet, totally unprepared for a one-on-one fight, takes the full beating session. Lying flat-faced in the ground, he sees his current state, and when he understood it wasn't so good, in desperation, he starts begging, please spare me. We were friends, right? MC, in a mocking tone, says, friends, ha. What a funny joke. Gu adds, at that time, I was only following orders, so Daichi, please spare me. Grabbing his collar, he yanks him up from the ground. He exclaimed, since that night, do you really know what Daichi Enomoto's life was like? While you were out there living it up, Daichi Enomoto lived in loneliness. Raising his voice, he mentioned, while you ate good food, he ate food that fell to the floor like a dog. While you slept with her, Daichi Enomoto lost his entire life. And those were the things you, as a friend, did to him. Hearing all of Karisu's pent-up fury, he denied it all. I don't know a damn thing. I was told to do it by Dagura and the others. MC, clearly furious, shouted, go ahead. Try hitting me. Gu denied, no, I can't, I just can't. Hit me, he exclaimed, now fearful. Gu punched my face, but it was like a mosquito biting an elephant. Feeling nothing, he grabbed him again, and in a trembling voice he asked, why did you betray me? Gu, why? He adds, no more speaking with our mouths. It's time to talk with our fists, and now it's my turn. And boy, he did use his turn very well. You can tell by seeing Gu's facial expression. Well, now even an old monkey's but looks better than his face. Man, what am I watching and saying? This manga is gonna clearly mess my head. Standing victorious, he starts crying due to all of his pent-up frustrations coming out at once. Raising his voice, he said, this is the fist of Daichi Enomoto. As all of this was happening, Ruiji kept looking from the other side with a proud face. And when the beating session ended, Ruiji and Karisu approached him. He asked, Gu, earlier you said you were just following orders, right? So tell me, who killed Sayaka? Was it Dagura, you, or Jubasaki? But now, in a half-conscious state, he kept saying, I don't know. I won't say, I don't know anything. Even after he yielded to him, nothing changed. Ruiji, having had enough of his nonsense, stumped his foot on the wall. He retorted, hey, punk, if you keep playing dumb, I'll kill you for sure. Gu, fearful, started bashing his head against the wall, and after that he started acting abnormally, which made both MC and Ruiji rethink their approach. And after some reasoning and unintelligible words from Gu, MC concluded that they were not in their right minds to answer any question. He says to Ruiji that the people who are distributing drugs, we need to find them. Grabbing Gu, Ruiji asked MC, what do we do next? Giving a pose worth 1,000 aura, he commended, will make a bigger amount of money. And this time, the target is a man who's taken over countless companies with borderline illicit methods. External crime boss Kuramitsu Dagura. We will take over his company. That unscrupulous business bastard, Dagura Mitsuru, I'll buy his company out. The scene shifts to the next day, where the three of them sit together, when Karisu starts admiring the beauty of the day. Tako, agreeing with him, nodded, but a few moments later he looked towards MC and whispered, hey Karisu, this guy was in prison with everyone, right? Then why is he with you? As they were conversing, a waiter approached Ruiji and relayed to him, customer, forgive me, but please don't bring food and drinks from other stores here. But Ruiji, being Ruiji, gave a death glare. If you think like a normal person, you might think he was pretty angry, but this is not the case here because this was him asking the waiter politely. He said to him, give me fresh kiwi juice, bring it up. Well, if these are the words you use while requesting someone, it just seems like an order more than a request. What can I say? Old habits don't die easily. When you look so intimidating, even good-gestured words look frightening to other people. Someone please give this guy a basic grammar lesson. And after some back and forth, Takeo asked MC, so what happened to that Kadoti guy and Miss Meru? Answering the question, he said, after I beat him up at the abandoned factory that night, at that time, maybe it was because of the drugs, I couldn't get much out of Gu. And about Heaven's Ice, about Sayaka's murder, or the money laundering using an imposter. No matter what we asked, he just kept mumbling nonsense. So we didn't get anything. Should we beat him up? And seeing no further improvement in our investigation, Ryuji threatened them that we'll always be watching you if you tell anyone about us. Be sure about this, we will execute both of you. And in the end, they turned themselves in to the police for the drug case. Ryuji joined the conversation, mentioning we have footage of the arson, so if they care about their lives, they won't tell the police about us, and besides that, no one will believe drug addicts anyway. Sipping the coffee, Kurisu hopes that it will go as it should. Takeo sighed, while hoping that Miss Meru could get over drugs at the rehabilitation facility. Yeah, I too hope so. Takeo adds, if Gu gets caught, what about his partners? And Feudo, your true identity, there's a constant risk that they will find it out, right? Kurisu, in that line of thought, being 100% pragmatic, told him there's always that possibility, but I'll think about it when it does happen. Feeling his confident CEO vibe, Ryuji comments, you've gotten pretty good at acting brave. That's quite impressive. Takeo, running the script of conversation, asked next is President Degura, right? And how do you plan to take revenge on him? MC answered that to find his weakness, I hired a private detective to investigate him. Ryuji, finding a probability of that detective being Mr. Diddy, he exclaimed in surprise, Oi, is that detective him? But Kurisu, not giving any hints, got up from his place. He relayed, I'll introduce you to him eventually. And with that, the conversing part between them comes to an end. After this event, MC sits alone in a bar. While drinking a glass of totally non-healthy juice, he inwardly thinks I've taken revenge on Gu. But I still don't know the truth about what happened that night. Gu is just a bonus for them. In truth, my revenge has only started. Interrupting his deep mental masturbation, someone called him from his rear side, Mr. Feudo, and when he looked towards the caller, it was none other than Mizuki, the ultimate baddie. With a blushing face, she approached him. Sitting beside him, and she explained, I thought if I kept coming to this hotel, I might meet you someday, so I came here a lot. In this auspicious bar, it's normal to order some fun drinks, but our main character, being a jigachad, ordered a glass of Kahlua milk. While drinking, he asked for forgiveness. I'm sorry about what happened back then. Seeing his soothing gesture, she starts blushing while thinking that she wants his chromosomes in her as fast as possible. Anyway, skipping her fantasies, she replied, no, Mr. Feudo, you don't have to feel sorry for this. She adds, hey, Mr. Feudo, you know that the owner, Kadoti, was arrested, right? He, with his usual poker face, answered in the affirmative. Picking MC's interest, she comments, so, do you know a man named Degura Mitsuru? MC's gets a little intrigued by this question. How do you know that name? Not directly answering his question, she got up from her seat and asked MC, so, Mr. Feudo, against owner Kadoti and Degura, by any chance do you have a grudge against them? She now pleaded to him, saying, and if you do, then please let me join in on it. Well, that was quite an unexpected turn of events. Let's see where the story takes us. After Mizuki's unexpected request, a tense atmosphere starts to linger between them. Breaking the silence, Kurisu asks, so, Mizuki, that's what you wanted to talk about? Mizuki, looking down, gave a silent confirmation. Kurisu continues the conversation from here, saying, again, your father used to run a company, but one day he got tricked by Dagure and his people, and after that, they stole the company while your father lost it all. He adds, after that, as a result, your family fell apart and you found out this truth when you grew up. Then, afterward, you decided to get revenge on him. That's why you joined Imperator, because you wanted to get closer to them. Confirming the flow of the story to be correct, she answered in the affirmative. Yes, that's about all. So, before she could finish her speech, MC interrupted by saying to her to stop in this note. Clenching his head in sudden unexpectedness, He comments, I get where you're coming from. I need to get things started on my end, too. I'll reach out to you another time. Hence, for now, go home. Agreeing to his proposal, she said, got it, I'm on it. Karisu and I also love. And, blushing like a tomato, she wanted to relay her full feelings to MC. But before she could say the truth that she wanted to carry MC's child. Now, looking at his expressionless look, she changed her mind and started to leave her place, much to MC's bewilderment. Anyway, in the next scene we see Mr. Diddy playing with his gas lighter and afterward lighting the stick of life-giving. Now nobody will comment on it to be a cigarette. No, that's not it. Because we all know that in his mind he is always right, so this is obviously not harmful stuff, whatever type of stick Mr. Diddy is eating while using his mouth. No matter the height or length, it must be called the stick of life-giving. And it's the holy rule of Diddysum. By any chance, if you don't follow the rule, Mr. Diddy will find you in your bathroom whenever you intend to pick up your soap from the floor. Anyway, listening to their conversation, we hear Diddy saying so. Basically, you just want me to dig into the cabaret girl's past, right? Karisu, correcting Kazuki's speech, says she's not a cabaret girl, and for your knowledge, she has already quit that path. Kazuki exclaimed, it's the same thing. The pure lover, while talking and thinking about his love crush, inwardly concludes, Fuyuto-san, why are you even interested in a woman like that? Leaving Mr. Diddy with a short note, Karisu comments, make sure to add the extra fee. While our pure-hearted lover, unable to depart from his love obsession, kept mumbling, what? Are you leaving already? Come on, let's grab a drink. But MC, a man on a mission, politely denied his invitation, saying no, maybe next time. Poor Diddy, he couldn't even fulfill a little desire of his. Smaller Diddy, how could he think of himself? What a selfless guy. Coming from the meeting between Degura and Habasaki, Degura looks to be pissed off. He starts throwing things here and there. He exclaimed, that's an idiot. What the hell was Gu thinking? He turned himself in to the police. What a stupid thing to do. Habasaki, sitting in his place, comments that it's weird that he didn't ask me to defend him. Degura guesses that something happened with that loan shark. Jubasaki adds, I need to find out what they talked about in the police station. And Degura, you need to stay away from women and good stuff until the shareholders' meeting. Degura, although surprised for a brief moment, regains his smug attitude. He comments, you know what, I think women should be fine. But Habasaki, cutting him off, reminds, did you forget? You made that woman at the bar drink so much tequila she almost died. You also know how much trouble I went through to cover it up. Degura replied, sorry man, I'll keep it in control. Habasaki, finding his answer satisfying, stands and reminds him, I'll use the usual route to look into the Kadoti, and just a little longer, we just need to hold back for now, then we can climb higher. Looking down from the sky view, he exclaimed, modern nobility, we're this close to being the true rulers of this country. And with that, their meeting comes to an end. Coming back to Karisu and Mizuki, they were getting ready for the second part of the negotiation. MC, arriving in the designated place, commented, sorry for making you come here. She smilingly asks, back in this room, it doesn't look like anyone lives here? He replies, I use it sometimes. I thought we could talk more comfortably here. So Mizuki, let's talk openly today. Or should I say Shiraki Tsukino or baby Miss Fikata-suki? Flipping the research document, he asked, did you get this name from your old one? She was a little surprised. Didn't give him any direct answer. Questioned in exclamation, you investigated me. Didn't you? Continuing his relaying of information, he says, your father was Fukuda Juni's. He was the original founder of Deepfield and the former president. He was reported for misappropriation of company funds for personal use. As a result, was forced to step down as president of Fukuda Corporation. The stock price kept dropping, and the company got bought out by Degura's firm. After that, you changed to surname to your mother's maiden name to Mizuki. Koryusu concludes, and in the end, the former president Fukuda and his story came to. Pausing, he says, well, that's about it. Mizuki, looking down, comments, please keep reading, even the part where my dad committed the act of jumping from a skyscraper trying to prove if man can fly and also meet his maker without any ticket. With that comment, the last straw of her patience broke. Crying hurtfully, she explained that Degura deceived my father, I can never forgive him. Seeing her imminent breakdown, he sighs, I get it, your wish for revenge is valid. But MC, advising her, says you should stay away from them. Much to Mizuki's astonishment. Making his point, he exclaimed, don't underestimate them, he mentioned. By them, I mean Dagura and underworld allies backing him. You should know they'll kill without hesitation to get what they want. If needed, they'll frame others, too. So, let me ask you once more, are you ready to sacrifice your life for revenge? Thinking for a few moments, she says, I can risk my life. Kurisu, pointing towards the weight of her confession, reminded that it's easy to say but very hard to comply. Mizuki, acting firm on her decision, shouted, I'm being serious. Feeling her resolve, MC stands from his place and, standing in front of her, he tells her, then let me ask you one thing. Can you risk something more important than your life? Hearing from him that something more valuable than her life must be sacrificed, she was a little taken aback by thinking what it could be. But Kurisu cleared all her doubts, pointed towards her, and mentioned, for revenge, are you willing to sleep with Dagura? Damn, he is direct about his business. Maybe that's what he needs. A cold and calculating mindset in order to take good care of his best friends, specifically Dagura and Mr. Habasaki. Hearing his sudden declaration, like everyone, she was stunned and silent for a few moments. In the time of her silence, Kurisu explained, impossible, right? So just give up. Walking a little far from her, he mentioned, I can't go into details, but I have my reasons for wanting revenge on Dagura. So in the end, you can choose a different path. After his definite confession, as he was leaving, Mizuki, in a dazed state, spoke. He always came to my parents-teacher meeting. She added, my father was a busy man, but he never missed a single parent-teacher meeting. Maybe he felt guilty for not being home because of work. In that time, I was always a little embarrassed because in the meeting, everyone's mother came, but only I had my father. Still, I was happy that he came. And in between all of this that happened, I looked into it later, and my father never embezzled money. They deceived him. He was framed. Damn, these two guys, Dagura and Habasaki, are very good at framing people. I also wonder if it's a hobby of theirs. Forget it, you know what, I think they should quit the shady business and start being photographers, because in that way they can legally frame people as much as they want. Get it? Kurisu, adding some context to her confession, says, your father wouldn't want you to go after revenge. But Mizuki, dead set on her ideals, explained that it doesn't matter if I don't get revenge with my hands, but I'll never be at peace if they live their lives without any repercussions. She adds, if that's what it takes, then I don't mind letting him have my body. And with that, she undoes her dress, going one step further. She mentioned, if you don't trust me, then right here is my proof of being willing to do anything. And as a result, this manga turned into an adult manga, and I had to stop this recap, so bye. Have a great time. No, just kidding, the author stopped it here. But damn, in this moment, she is easy on the eyes. Don't look at the manga panel, or else she might come to your wet dreams and start kissing you with her second pair of lips. Anyway, before the story could deviate further, Kurisu stopped her advances, grabbing her wondering hands. He sighed and said, I got it. I was testing your resolve when I told you to give yourself to him. Being a gentle man, he puts her clothes back, and in the process, he made her blush to the point she turned red. After that, he starts apologizing by saying, forgive me, but you'll have to take risks. I want to confirm one thing, and it was done. Then he asks her, did you ever meet Dagura at the Imperator? She denies with a gesture of her head. Confirming his doubt, he thinks he never went to that place in the end. Then this should be possible. And after some mind-blowing thinking stuff, he smiles and gestures his hand for a handshake. He tells her our alliance starts now. And with a strong resolve, she comments, tell me what you want me to do. And because of that, a honey trap alliance was created between them. I cannot wait to see what kind of nasty bug vermin their trap catches. Ending the negotiation part, he came back home. Arriving at his makeshift base, he ordered Teiko to short sell a lot of Dagura's stock. Teiko joyfully exclaimed, it's finally my turn. But Ruiji, always being the backbencher of the class, didn't understand anything, but after seeing their enthusiasm, He wanted to understand the stock talk, which is why he asked for a little explanation. Explaining it, Kurisu says, I heard this from a reliable source, a big overseas casino, and Dagura's company are apparently on the verge of finalizing a huge deal. Before that deal is finalized, we'll expose his scandals and force the deal to collapse. Taiko, now taking the part of talking, tells them, then if something like that happens, the stock price will crash, and if we short sell beforehand, we'll make a huge profit. Taiko asks back, so what's the plan? MC answers he's always been a heavy drinker. He uses his money to get women drunk at lounges and cabarets, then takes advantage of them. His weird, complex thinking is that he enjoys making them his own. If one of them buys a chance to sue him, he'll just pay them off. Ruiji, ever the curious cat, asks, what if they refuse to back down? Kurisu answers, I guess Habasaki uses the law and his connections to crush them. Taiko, feeling the injustice, said how awful. On the other hand, Ruiji, having a sister complex, had the extreme reaction, crashing the apple in his hand. He exclaimed these bastards are unforgivable. Taiko, picking up on the previous topic, says then you'll expose President Dagura's scandals, right? MC answered, no, all the cases have been settled out of court, and digging past incidents is too soft on him. We need undeniable proof on something far worse. The development plan for a massive casino gaming project in the Tokyo Bay Area's casino has been finalized. The total budget is 18 billion yen. Now we see Dagura's assistant briefing everyone that if this deal goes through, our stock price will skyrocket. As he was bragging happily, his business partners started conversing among themselves. Dagura, seeing the sudden commotion, questioned what was going on. Is something wrong? One of them notified him that it looks like our company's stock has been short-sold over the past few days. The amount is nearly 3 billion yen now, and it's climbing. Caught off guard by the sudden shift of his plan, Dagura called the institutional investors. We're still investigating. It's probably just some stupid foreigners. Once the massive deal is finalized, our stock price will skyrocket. To the other side, Taiko explained to Kurisu that 5 billion yen is short-selling, and we're using maximum leverage, right? It means a system where you can trade money larger than the funds you've deposited. High risk, high return. The ever-curious Ruiji asks, if the stock price keeps climbing, what will happen? Kurisu marking answers if that happens after short-selling, if the stock price keeps going up. There'll be no limit to the damage. Those who are short-selling will lose hundreds of billions. And if the stock price falls, I win, and if it still keeps going up, I lose. On Dagura's side, he mentions there's a saying, sell your soul to buy a home. The idiots who short-sold my company stock will be ruined. At this time, Kurisu was planning for the next month until the deal is finalized will decide everything. On the other hand, Dagura had the same thoughts but from a different perspective. 1 month from now, our stock price will either rise to the highest or fall for sure, and to be exact, it was a gamble for both of them. Ruiji, feeling the vibe in the air, comments a month. We don't have a lot of time. Kurisu mentioned that, lately, Dagura hasn't been showing up at lounges, hostess clubs, or any other places with female staff. And another thing, he has some members-only bar where he goes regularly, and it looks like he's just drinking there quietly. Taiko joins the conversation by reminding everyone that the reason is the shareholders' meeting, so he's keeping a low profile. Ruiji, after processing all the information, smirks and mentions that I have a nice idea. Looking towards Taiko and Kurisu, he relayed his plan, and after hearing the plan, Kurisu made a thoughtful gesture. If it works, it could really shake things up. But isn't this a little underhanded? Hearing Taiko's comment, Ruiji looked towards him, which from his perspective looked like a death stare. Fearing for survival, he hides his pace in the chair like a tortoise. Seeing Taiko's apparent fearfulness, he comments, this is how my face is. Get used to it already. While all of this drama was occurring in the background, Kurisu was in the state of thinking long and hard. After some thoughtful jerking off with the idea and probability of it working, he says, I think it could work, but there are too many variables. For example, Mizuki will be taking the risk. But as he started hesitating on the execution of the plan, Ruiji yanked him up and exclaimed, you're trying to get revenge on those bastards, right? Don't think you can get away with pretty words. Get your act together already. Correcting Ruiji's point of view, Kurisu exclaimed, I got my act together a long time ago. Explaining further, he says, these are the war funds that you mentioned earlier. So, for now start it with this. On the mention of the thing he loves to do the most, obviously making people's already hard lives harder, he says, leave it to me. The scene skips to 1 week later to Tokyo Nishiazabu, a private bar. Inside the bar, Dagura kept mumbling after getting drunk, where's master? Which even the bar employee found to be awkward due to his calling some unknown master in his drunken state. Dagura comments drinking alone sucks, but I had to because of the seriousness of the situation. He consoles himself by saying once this mess is over, I'll have my fun. In his drunken state, a guy who was in debt to him approached him and kept begging for a little more time to pay off his debt. But Dagura, being Dagura, starts doing his favorite thing for self-entertainment. Well, he starts humiliating him with borderline respect-giving. And at that time, interrupting his fun time, Kurisu arrived at that place. Seeing his fun interrupted, Dagura exclaimed, what's your problem? Kurisu, with his usual aura farming pose, entered and told him this place is members only. And I'm a member too. Sometimes you just want to drink without worrying about others, right? Remembering Kurisu from Gu's introduction, he inwardly thinks this guy looks like a host, and I think we met before. Approaching the bar staff, Kurisu asked, got anything for a wipe? The bar employee heartily replied yes. Taking the napkin, he gave it to the kneeling guy and asked him to use this for wiping himself. Dagura, fed up with the situation, ordered him, get out already. The unknown assailant, before getting out, looked towards Kurisu and thought to himself, that young guy, have I seen him somewhere? Anyway, coming to the inside view of the bar, we see Dagura drinking and glancing towards MC. He thinks to himself, wasn't he some investor who came back from America? Habasaki was worried about this guy, but he's clearly a womanizing, good for nothing. Looks like he has money, but there are tons of guys like him who got just lucky with crypto. Man, look who's judging, he is probably the biggest womanizer in the manga. But what can I say, the guy probably doesn't have a mirror in his house, that's why he can't see the marks of his own lust. Hence, he still finds the courage to judge others with the tag of a womanizer. Kurisu, at this point, greets him saying President Dagura, right? He replied in the affirmative. Kurisu adds, I heard that the police arrested Mr. Kadoti. Weaving the tricky question, Dagura mentioned I can't get through with him, so I have no idea what's going on. And in between their conversation, Mizuki gets up for the restroom, and while she's in it, Kurisu introduces her to be his friend. Mizuki, playing the role of being the most delicious bait in a hook, greeted Dagura with the utmost sincerity, giving a green tea smile, saying, nice to meet you. While Mizuki was getting him, he, on the other side, was greeting her canon milkers. Well, it obviously proves the saying, boys being boys. Nothing to worry, this is just your typical lustful Dagura. To the other side, Kurisu, seeing that the fish had taken the bait and smiled mysteriously. Dagura, in a dazed state due to the potent medicine called lust, greets her back, nice to meet you too. Mizuki, continuing the conversation, mentioned, I'm a huge fan of President Dagura. She adds, I'm thinking of starting a business. Any industries you'd recommend? He replied, if you're starting now, AI or healthcare are good. Giving a blissful smile, she spoke, oh, like stem cell medicine and stuff. I knew it, it's still the top pick. But the entry barrier is way too high. Man, what's wrong with this guy? We are trying to have a serious conversation here. Why is this guy looking from an AI business towards a milk factory? Someone please teach him the art of conversation. Going into more detail on his idea, he explains that this bot has given me 8% monthly returns. I already made $1 billion this year. As they were getting deep into the business talk, Mizuki came closer to him with a wow reaction. And ding, as expected, a jolt of electricity sparked between them, which for a moment separates them from each other. Mizuki, playing the part of the most delicious bait, comments, Mr. Dagura, listening to you talk is making me thirsty. And with that, she gulped down a healthy glass of juice, but Dagura, also thirsty for something, just kept looking here and there. Feigning ignorance, she spoke, what should I drink next? Dagura, helping her to keep her liver healthy, suggests Keener. She blissfully replied, "Huh? I've never tried it. How is it?" Ordering the drink for both of them, he explained it's sweet and tasty. "Try it." This mother-sucker, acting all gentle, asked Karisu to join their session, which he refused without any hesitation. After some scuffle, the drinking session begins, and Mizuki mentions that it is quite delicious and she could drink a ton of it. Dagura the fox, thinking he was going to catch the most delicious chicken, encouraged her to keep going on. Mr. Fox also mentioned he can drink 10 of these easily, which Mizuki translated as a drinking challenge, which Dagura accepts wholeheartedly. And after a few moments, we see the competition was still going on, and just by looking at the pile of bottles you can say it's banging hard. Dagura the fox, glancing at her, thinks it's stronger than Kleiner. It's sweet but has 15% ABV, and most girls who drink this much are usually done for it. In a few moments, due to the effect of drinking too much good stuff, she starts fainting. Much to Dagura's delight, he exclaims, "Whoops, are you drunk, Mizuki?" He, now looking at MC, thinks now, should I just send Karisu home with an excuse? Or should I take this girl? As he was thinking long and hard, as a plan, Karisu got up from his seat and mentioned that Mizuki was asleep, so I'll take over. Dagura, seeing his prey was getting out of his hand, was in little surprise, but giving him a lifeline, Karisu told him, "Mr. Dagura, you can still drink, right? Let's have a drinking contest, you and me." Dagura, acting all smart, retorted, "That's cheating, Mr. Karisu. I had so much to drink. That's not fair." While talking, he inwardly thinks, so he had his eye on this girl too. Is he pissed that I might snatch her away? Karisu, making a playful jab, said, "Should I drink how much you two drank?" Dagura, making an angry face, replied that's not the point, but Karisu, not giving his comments any value, looked towards the bar staff and ordered some tequila. And with that, the second phase of the drinking battle starts between them. One by one, the glasses start to empty. After a few moments, Dagura starts complaining to himself, "How much can this guy drink? This stuff is nearly 40% alcohol. Wait, and if all of this wasn't enough, MC comments that this thing is too small an amount to make any difference, so we should shift to some bigger size drink." The moment he heard this, he knew he was effusicated due to overdrinking. He started seeing the world in a 3D animated way, and before fainting, what he last saw was the angelic face of Karisu Fyodo and an unconscious Mizuki. After who knows when, he woke up in a hotel bedroom, not knowing what was going on. Due to a hard headache, he started clenching his head. Trying to regain his senses, he asked himself, "Where am I? Last night I was definitely drinking in Nishiazabu, but after that, I don't remember a thing." While he was mumbling, Karisu and his partners observed all of his actions from the CCTV room. Looking at his moving body, he comments, "Were you watching me like this back then? You probably never thought that you'd fall into the same trap. Now I've got you, bastard, you fell into the same kind of deep hole. Damn, that was a thriller, totally unexpected. This shit is getting more and more interesting day by day."